I didn't have sound on.
You didn't have the sound on?
I didn't have the damn sound on.
Okay.
I don't even see anybody here, but there's supposed to be people here. Do you see the chat? Oh, I know what's wrong. You guys, I'm so sorry. I see it.
Did you see Delicate put like a bunch of...
I couldn't see my chat. Yeah, I'm looking at my phone. I'm literally responding to someone. I'm so sorry. First of all, I'm sorry. We have a chat rate of 12. It's like our highest chat rate ever.
Because everybody's trying to ring the alarm bell. You gotta figure this out. Do you want it to be my job? I can do it. Do you want to outsource that?
Man, if you want to turn on the soundboard, go ahead. I just forgot to turn on the soundboard today. Listen, it's basically a one-man band.
This is what I'm saying. Maybe you need some
All right,
help.
well, help out. That's fine. Moving on.
I also actually don't like that you're responding to somebody's comment while we're live. I know,
but I was in the middle of it, so let me finish.
No, I'm not going to. You can't do
Lively's
that.
complaints were made in good faith.
That is illegal.
And that he remedied the issues.
What you're doing right now is illegal behavior. You go to YouTube Live jail for that.
Hey, you got to take care of the channel, guys. We got to take care of the channel. We got to take care of everybody, even the people who are making ridiculous statements. Mm-hmm. The stupidest statements. Oh, I know you don't. What he knows I don't, or what she knows I don't, is that I don't care what she thinks, because she was being insulting.
What?
What's up, everybody? Hey, Brett Ratner didn't know him. He didn't know him.
Oh, the Brett Ratner that does not deny that photograph of him cuddling with two women with black bars over their faces.
Right.
With Jeffrey Epstein.
Correct.
Literally, like, he's so close to Jeffrey Epstein he could smell his breath.
Correct.
But he's saying that he doesn't know him. Brett Ratner is claiming
that
he doesn't
Brett
know
Ratner
the Jeffrey
right there,
Epstein that is in the photograph, like, inches away from his face in a cuddle.
That Brett Ratner right there, I've got it on the screen for everyone, is cuddling up with that guy who is a complete fucking stranger to him, mm-hmm. which I've done so many times. Pretty much every bus ride I've ever been on. You know what I mean?
Looks just like this.
I just sit next to a person and then, we get to cuddling immediately, I don't know them, but like cuddling is fun with them. This guy doesn't know that guy, and if you believe that, I think there's probably a lot of protections you need, like friends helping you protect your assets, because people are going to come for that shit.
It's pretty... there are ways to sort of lie your way out of a difficult situation.
Right.
He chose a really ridiculous one. You can't say you don't know that guy.
I don't know that guy.
Oh my God.
Like Brett Ratner is just, he takes everyone for fools. They all take us for fools. They take us all for fools. And I suppose he's protecting that mega market because, Melania's film did do like $7.9 million in opening weekend. It almost did as much as fucking Leonardo DiCaprio's.
But in their defense, right? In like Brett Ratner's defense, making up a really foolish lie that's so transparent, it's like it isn't even worth the breath he spent on it. Absolutely nothing has happened to any of these people.
Yet.
And so who cares, right? In his perspective, he's like, so what? I can make up a lie that sounds totally preposterous, and it doesn't even matter. I could say that I knew him, and that this was the 20th time we'd hung out together, and he's the best man at my wedding, and it still wouldn't fucking matter because nothing is happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know who is buying his story.
I'm not buying his story. I don't think anybody can look at that picture. I think that was why the BBC put it up that way. I don't think anybody can look at the picture and see, Brett Ratner in that pose and believe for a second that he doesn't know who he's with there.
His story was that the woman that he was cuddling was his ex-fiance.
But he refuses to give her name up.
Yeah. And Piers Morgan was like, oh, great. That's so great. What's her name? So that we can all know.
Can I get a name? Can I get a name? Oh, no. Can't get a name.
And he was like,
we'll just take your word for it.
Okay. Okay, Brett Ratner.
I wonder if she'll come forward.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was me. And, we had a good time. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Look, it's fucked up. It's weird. I hate it so much. And, it is what it is. It is what it is in that regard. I hope all these fuckers get flushed down the toilet. Mm-hmm. It is the most horrific this is the most horrific moment in, I think, American history, because it's like really, or one of them, certainly not the most, Hiroshima, you know, but like one of them, because it really does pull the curtain back. You know, it's revealing a corruption that is so deep and so widespread.
Yeah.
That it really was beyond, I think, most people's imagination.
I wanted to share this with you just because we were talking about it. I saved this to just talk to you, but I didn't realize we were going to talk more about this on the live, so I'll share it with everybody. Okay, Sarah Salyers on Twitter was like, hey, does anyone else have the overwhelming feeling that they have just woken up on an alternate dystopian universe?
Yeah.
And the scale of the insane evil of this dystopia is so huge that it's impossible to see how to begin putting anything right.
Yeah.
And then I saw this because
it was like a very numb day for me.
This was retweeted by one of my favorite astrologers on social media, DK Astrology.
Yeah.
Her predictions are just like
spot on, yeah.
Popping right now. She keeps like having to dig back and reference her old predictions because they're all coming true.
Yeah.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
But she said about this dystopia we've all woken up into.
Yeah.
She says it is ugly, but it has to come out if we want a better world.
Yeah, of course.
To fight against evil, we must expose it first.
This is a really good thing.
She said it will get worse before it gets better, but no effort, no reward. We have to save us, and we are.
Yeah, but no, this is actually a good thing, because this was going on, and people's lives are being ruined for decades by these people.
Right, in secrecy.
Just these people. We're not even talking about what preceded them, because we know this isn't new. This isn't new. This is just the guy who got caught. And maybe it's new to America. Maybe there was another guy in Europe. I mean, you remember the husband?
The husband.
In France?
Who were you talking
with
about?
The wife?
Not narrowing it down.
And all the friends?
Oh, you're talking about, I forget her name, but she was victimized for years by her husband, who was drugging her and then inviting like hundreds of men to come
Hundreds of men.
Yeah, and that was really astonishing because, like, you know, everybody's always saying online, they're like, yeah, you can accuse men of being ghastly beasts, but it's not all men. And then everybody's like, yeah, but it was like 100 men within driving distance of her house, like, participated in this. Like, it's not all, but like maybe most. I don't know.
It's the most.
It's really horrific.
Yeah, the whole thing is so horrific, of course, and yeah.
I think she was like Time Person of the Year or something like that. She had some sort of like Person of the Year accolade because that was such an impactful case.
Well, she endured something that probably no one ever has unless you go back all the way to the Roman times or something. Like that's some medieval shit. And but it just goes to show you that it's not like we're not in this situation. This isn't like, while this situation has its, you know, uniqueness, it's also got its commonality with, you know, many others happening simultaneously and preceding it. You know, it's just a really fucked up world. So the fact that this you know, sort of curtain has been pulled back, you know, now we get to see it. It is so awful. It's just so unbelievably awful. But that's how you clean it out. You can't clean it out by not seeing it. You can't clean up the mess if you don't know the mess is there.
Can I talk about the astrology of this moment?
Unless it stinks. The mess stinks. You could be like, it's somewhere.
Yeah.
Where is it? You ever have one of those in your life?
I live in America.
Something's fucked up somewhere.
We have those all the time in politics. The astrology of this moment is pretty interesting because, like we were saying, I think we started talking about it last week or the week before.
Yeah.
February is so dicey because all of the planets are sort of like they're scooting through in the sky and they're making a square aspect, which is a harsh, incendiary aspect to the planet Uranus. And Uranus is known for, it's like the Promethean, you know, the gift of fire, like big breakthroughs, big discoveries, big surprises, very revolutionary, very liberation oriented energy.
It's a warring thing, you know, it's things square off.
Right now, within the degrees of influence, Mercury is approaching that exact square to Uranus.
Yep.
And so whenever that happens, there has always been big revelations, secrets uncovered, big breakthroughs in communication, you know? today in Congress, I think they had a hearing of victims of the
Epstein victims?
in Minneapolis, victims of these ICE raids that were just terrorizing people in the streets. So it was a bunch of people who were telling their stories about just like driving to whatever, and then they just got caught up and injured by these people. And I just think that like nothing that's boiling up is going away. They keep trying to play like the distraction machine, and it's not working. So I just think that just this week especially, and this weekend, we can probably expect more revelation. I know we're all exhausted. Yeah. Like we don't want any more information if that's okay, but it's going to keep coming.
I do. I want it all. I do. I want it all. You know, I've said the story 100 times because it's bothered me ever since it happened. But, you know, in 2016, I was working with a dude. He was an evangelical Christian. I was fairly new to Georgia still at the time. And we got into a political argument because I could not believe, like, he had such hatred for Hillary Clinton. And
I mean, I get it.
I do. I get it, but you still only have two candidates, right? So it still is, or it should be, if we're all level-headed human beings, right, trying to find the best scenario we can out of the two. You know, and there's obviously a lot of corruption that leads up to that moment, those moments where those two are chosen.
Yeah, it was the obvious choice for sure.
But it was the obvious choice. Yeah. And so we were having an argument about, because he was talking about, like, he was, you know, I don't know if you know this about evangelical Christians, but they hate Democrats. Like, they hate them.
No, I know they're like the biggest distortion to ever come out of the Southern strategy. Yeah. From the 1960s.
Not very Christian, I will say.
I don't know if it was the 60s or the 50s. But anyway, when they tried to split up the working class in the South because they had such class solidarity. Yeah. So the politicians employed this Southern strategy, is what they called it, to divide people and stoke racism and all of these other isms to divide people, and it worked. And so the I don't know why, but the evangelical Christians just like went all the way, like took it all the way to the fucking finish line.
Well, me and him, we got into a big old fight about it, big old Southern brawl. I was just screaming at him about, we were shouting back and forth because I was like, how can you vote for this man? And at that time, I wonder
if he ever thinks about you and these arguments now.
These revelations. At that time, I had watched. There was about an hour and a half or something long of the deposition of the girl who claimed that she was abused by both Trump and Epstein in the most horrific possible way you can imagine. And to the extent that it sounds unbelievable, I'm not going to lie. Like when you hear it, you're like, that just sounds impossible.
No, I know. And this was available in, what year was this?
I heard it before the election.
Yeah, before 2016. Yeah, right.
So I heard.
So you're like, you can't side with that guy.
Yeah, and I was like, there's absolutely nothing that would have you vote outside of your party. Like we were yelling, and then I was like, and that's when I started screaming, not even, abusing children, right? I use different words.
Yeah, like where's the line? You know what I mean?
Where's the line? I'm screaming. I've used the different words, but I'm screaming at this guy like, I can't believe this. Like, when can we not agree that the children is at least the final boundary? I think that can't be crossed.
There's a fundamental difference that I think a lot of people don't recognize, and that's that there are a bunch of people who have the worldview where if it doesn't affect them personally, they literally do not care. If it doesn't affect them and their own family personally, they can't be bothered to give a shit. And I think that this is one of the main reasons why there's this insurmountable, unbridgeable divide between some people who go one way or the other on the political spectrum. Like if you just literally cannot muster up the humanity to care about other people that are strangers to you, then there's no reaching those people with anything. They're just, they're just throwaways. Like, don't even.
I'm not talking about them, though. You're right, but I'm talking about.
Community with people who have empathy. That's who's going to lead the movement forward.
I'm talking about the people who do care about their hatred enough to go out and vote and complain and shout and demonstrate and whatever else in their like heap of stupidity.
Heap of Stupidity, the new album
by Trash
Kid Rock.
By Kid Rock, yeah.
Do you know I saw today that he's headlining the alternate Super Bowl halftime show?
That wasn't predictable.
Turning Point USA halftime show.
It was going to be him or Nicki Minaj.
I think I'd like to talk more about that on Friday.
I was saying earlier today that I was like, you've got fucking Kanye coming out going, guys.
So I went through.
I was tripping. I am back. I am clean. My album is good. We are good. I am going to atone. I am sorry. I will say I am sorry 100,000 times, and I still won't stop. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, you're just trying to do this, and they're all like, unsure and uncertain because once bitten, thrice shy.
Yeah, right.
And then all of a sudden, though, just when like there's calm from that fucking side of the music industry.
Who?
Calm. Kanye brings calmness, right? Because he's the chaos, right? It's like
how's that go?
Well, because he's always like doing crazy shit, saying stupid shit, writing Hail Hitler songs and whatever else. Heil Hitler? How do you say that?
I don't think you should. I don't think you should say it at all.
No, I'm talking about a song by Kanye West. It's a real song by Kanye West.
Yeah, I know.
So he was the chaos, is the point I was trying to make. And then the chaos was quelled, only for Nicki Minaj to step up and go like it was an opportunity. Yeah. It was like a vacancy.
Yeah, there's an opening.
Yeah. It was like, oh, fucking Kanye's what? Somebody got to be crazy. And then she went crazy.
Yeah, right. She's like, there's a need for a token, and I will be that.
It's just the weirdest thing is like that somebody would step into this role. It's just absolutely mad. But at least she's doing it for like something. You know what I mean? She's like, she got her gold card, her Donald Trump gold card.
Yeah, who knows?
It's the most ridiculous thing I ever saw in my life.
I want to offer my appreciation to the folks that were trying to get us to turn on our sound earlier in the chat.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
You guys are real ones. I appreciate you.
I screwed up, man. It happens. All right, we're 18 minutes in. You want to go and dance around this thing or what?
Gonna do the dance.
Manderly is here. It's time to get going. Our scientist is here. Delegate is here. Deanne is here. Oh, man, you guys are awesome.
Hinata said, I think it was Hinata.
Bobo is here. Hinata is here.
I'm sorry, I have to scroll back up.
It's just a bunch of dope ass people.
Said, this is one of the few places that is not overly helmed by bots yesterday. I'm guessing because Melissa Nathan wasn't really mentioned. Yeah, so apparently she's got bot accounts.
Yeah, she's going out there and doing it.
They were posting screenshots on Reddit of all the bots that were out, and they were literally repeating over and over again.
Because of her Epstein
it said
file.
The bots, all these different accounts were saying the same thing. This is blatant misinformation. Nathan never met Epstein. And it's like, same. All these other accounts.
All these different accounts.
Yes.
It's funny because we had...
Okay.
We've had that on, not on this channel, but we've had that on TikTok with DiCaprio. Like, because I had
people will say the same stuff.
One of my videos or one of my what do you call it? Slideshows got like 3 million views. And then I have another one that got 150 and another one like 500,000. We did some numbers on that platform. But in it were these comments, like lots of them. They were exactly the fucking same in like different, and they were in like different posts, but like exact same different accounts.
Organic.
It's kind of scary actually when you see it happening and it's in your shit. You're just like, wow, this is fucking weird, man. Really, really weird. It sucks because it's these social media companies have the data to guide the manipulation. To a certain percentage level of success, whatever it might be, 1%, 2%, 3% are persuaded each and every time, whatever it might be. It's fucking weird, bro. We live in a weird time.
This is blatant misinformation.
Blatant.
Nathan never met Epstein.
Yeah.
Bitch, we didn't say you met him. We said you worked for him.
Yeah, dude. Who said you got to meet him for that? Yeah. It's so funny. Like, she never met him. Brett Ratner, he didn't know him. He didn't know him.
You're moving the goalposts.
I was hugging my fiance like Jeffrey Epstein. Like, her hand, the fiance's hand, isn't on Jeffrey Epstein's shoulder.
Their knees are touching.
Her hand's on his shoulder, on Epstein's shoulder.
Yeah, I don't buy it, man.
Come on.
Okay.
It's like you guys are stupid. There was this. There was this. This old thing, this old misogynistic thing that I heard when I was probably a teenager. And it was, I'll paraphrase so that it doesn't sound so awful, but it was, if your wife walks in the room and sees you in the act, you're in the act, you're actually doing it, look her in the eye.
You're doing what?
And you tell her.
You're cheating?
Yeah, you're cheating.
Okay.
You look her in the eye, and you tell her, nothing happened. Nothing fucking happened.
Who said this?
This is a thing back in the fucking 80s, I think it was, that I heard this. I don't know who said it. I can't remember. It wasn't one person.
They're just like, deny.
Deny. To their face, just like it didn't happen. Fucking straight up gaslight. And of course, it sounded so stupid and ridiculous. And some of the people, I have a recollection that some of the people who said it with conviction. Like it wasn't like a tongue-in-cheek thing. It was like a actually do that. And I was like, fuck you talking about? That's the stupid thing I ever heard, because obviously you're doing it.
Yeah, well, you're not a person who enjoys playing manipulation games. So
the point is that the whole idea, the notion of this gaslight was so preposterous to me, and now I see it happening in real time, and working to the extent that it's causing irreparable harm to our society and to our relationships. Pretty wild. Mm-hmm. All right, you guys, let's fucking talk this Baldoni shit. What'd you guys think of the picture? I mean, it was the best one I could find.
Was it?
Yeah. I was like, we're not going to get anybody but the regulars today, because my Justin Baldoni, because when I put up his pretty pictures, they show up. They come.
They're all pretty pictures, Dale.
Gee, that sounded
He's
weird.
a very beautiful man.
They arrive. All right.
So
you know where you are?
Yes, when last we spoke.
Yes.
When last Gottlieb questioned Justin Baldoni in his deposition.
Yes.
I'm picking up on page 197. But prior to this, Justin Baldoni was being asked about text messages that were being sent from Jenny Slate to producers Alex Sachs and Ange Giannetti.
Yeah.
With complaints. And the date of those text messages. And Baldoni also answered about Blake Lively briefly too. But the date of those was May 30th, 2023.
Okay.
Which is 2 weeks into his first shoot of the film. Okay?
Yeah.
So now he's being asked about more text messages. The last thing Baldoni says is that after these complaints happened and Baldoni sent his apology note to Jenny Slate, Baldoni says, I didn't feel it was appropriate to put her in that situation of sending her a message directly. He said, so from that point on, I gave her high fives and complimented her on her work, and I didn't hug her, and I never used the word sexy again.
Yeah.
So easy, right? Okay.
I mean, it's just like this. I was trying to make a joke out of me answering that YouTube comment, because it's just like this person is literally talking to us who is reading live this man's deposition, wherein he admits to sexual harassment complaints by Blake Lively made in good faith that he received and reportedly made adjustments to change. So not only did he acknowledge them, but he changed his behavior. There was a behavior that led to a complaint that changed because of the complaint.
Yep.
For fuck's sake, I mean, you can't have it more fucking textbook than that. It doesn't matter about severity. We're not talking about fucking severity, because what we end up seeing is a preponderance of all of it.
Yeah.
Is that the right word, preponderance?
I guess. I don't know. I've never used that word myself.
Let me check.
I think it's right.
God, I just sometimes I do this. I'll be like, yeah, I read this.
A preponderance of evidence. I think it just means like a lot. What is the definition of preponderance?
I'm looking it up.
We're in law school today.
It's a big word, you know.
I know. It's the kind of word lawyers use.
The quality or fact of being greater in number, quality, or importance.
Greater in number, quality, or importance.
So that's exactly right.
Yeah.
It is the preponderance.
It's a bunch.
Way to go, Dale.
Okay. Gottlieb's next question, okay? You with me?
Yes.
I want to show you a document. I'll mark this as Exhibit 27. This is a text message dated May 27th. So 3 days prior to what Baldoni just answered about. Okay. This is between Jenny Slate and Josh Pearl. Take a minute to read that. Gottlieb's question is, and Mr. Baldoni, I appreciate that looking at some of this may be difficult. Who is Josh Pearl, first of all? Baldoni says, I don't know. Gottlieb says, the text that we're looking at in the prior exhibit, which was Exhibit 26, and the messages that you had sent to Miss Slate and Miss Lively was from May 30th. This is an exchange on May 27th. Is that right? And Baldoni says it appears to be. And were you aware by May 27th that Miss Slate felt, as she says, and Gottlieb is reading this. This is a quote. I am not scared or anything, just repulsed and deeply irritated. Gottlieb asks, were you aware that's how she felt as of May 27th? And Baldoni says, no. Were you aware that, and then Baldoni cuts him off to continue. Baldoni says, actually, I'm sorry. I would like to correct that for the record. I don't know the date that Alex said anything to me or that I talked to Ange. So if in fact it was the 26th, I don't want to speak incorrectly. So I don't know what I felt or what I knew or didn't know on the 27th. It very well could have been. Gottlieb says, you might have known that she was deeply irritated by then? And Baldoni says, no, I don't know what day Alex and her had lunch, so I'm unsure. I'm just talking about the date, that's all. Gottlieb says, you characterized before how the sexy comment was described to you. Is that right? Your understanding of Miss Slate's understanding of the sexy comment as told to you by Miss Saxon Gianetti. Is that fair? And Baldoni says, yes. Okay. Do you see at 1024, Miss Slate characterizing that comment in her own words? And Baldoni says, yes. And you see here she says, and Gottlieb is reading, this is a quote of Jenny Slate's. At that point, he made the comment to me about looking sexy, but I had decided just to try and push past it, even though it made me feel so unsettled and deeply, deeply disappointed and irritated.
I love that. I love that part of it probably most, that she was deeply, deeply, deeply disappointed. Again, like I've said this over and over again, this man set expectations.
Yeah.
By creating Man Enough, by writing the book, by having this open heart, by having this sort of persona of creating a safe place.
It's not small either.
It's really big. It's actually really big. You know, it's massive. You know, it's putting up a big giant spotlight on those issues on you.
Right.
Like Greta Thunberg or whatever, I always fuck up her last name, but she can't go throwing things on the curb. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if she so much as leaves a bag on a seat, or she's carrying a plastic bag, or, you know, like there's just so many different ways in which that girl can fuck up her public persona, you know, by, you know, based on what she stands for and her principles publicly.
It's not small that they feel this betrayal between what he claimed to be and what he shows himself to be. Because when you're an actor, your face is integrated with whatever he creates, right? So it's like your brand is now attached to that project. Like, think about everybody who's ever been in a film where suddenly somebody they worked with got accused and the whole project is scrapped, and then they have a bad reputation for working with them. This happens a lot with the Woody Allen films and the actors that participate in them.
Blake Lively was getting fucking heat for that.
Yeah, they're guilty by association.
Even though Jesse Eisenberg was in the same movie. Yeah,
exactly. But they're guilty by association all of a sudden when they didn't do anything wrong themselves. So It's like, it's a really big deal if you attach yourself to a project in full confidence that this person's cool, and then they end up to be very much not fucking cool, and you're like, God, like, now I'm stuck in this. Now I could get dragged through by his horses. Like, you can't stop it. It's just it's not small in the game of Hollywood where your reputation is everything. Okay, so Gottlieb is asking, when Jenny Slate says, at that point he made the comment to me about looking sexy, but I had decided just to try to push past it, even though it made me feel so unsettled and deeply, deeply disappointed and irritated. Gottlieb is asking, did you know that's how Miss Slate felt? And Baldoni says, I didn't. Gottlieb says, how does it make you feel now knowing that that's how Miss Slate felt in that moment? And Baldoni said, sad. Gottlieb says, you talked before about your desire to tell the story through the female gaze, is that correct? And Baldoni says, it was a desire, yes. So why did you choose a male director? And Baldoni says, well, for some time I was actually looking for a female director. I went back and forth from the very beginning of if I should direct or not. Originally I had optioned the book to direct it, and that was the original plan, but that was back in 2019 or so, and culturally the conversation changed very fast, and so I thought maybe I shouldn't direct it. So there was a period of time where I wasn't going to direct it, and then in the development of it with Christy Hall, and in speaking with many of the women in my life and women who do specific work as it relates to gender, I sought advice. I started feeling like I was seeing the movie and what was possible. And I thought if I could surround myself with the right team, that there was actually something that I could do justice to, because it wasn't solely a female story. There also were elements that I believed could really be helpful to men. So ultimately, because I had the rights to the film and it was ultimately my decision, and in consultation with friends and my wife and team, ultimately I believed in myself enough to take on the role. What do you think about that?
Well, I think in the end he tells the full truth, which is, I own the rights. It was my decision to make, and I chose me.
Yeah, that's right.
That's because that's the sum and substance of that statement is, while it became very apparent that I should have probably had a female director attached to the project,
and culturally,
I decided to consult with the people who would feed me the words I needed to hear, which is the women in his life, who are all still in his life, even though he is credibly accused of all this, and they can see his behavior playing out in real time, destroying another woman's life over a dispute between the two of them. So it's just, that whole thing is just like so self-serving. The whole sentence, the whole setup to what ultimately is the truth is just self-serving.
He sought advice to give himself permission to pick himself.
Yes.
He said, culturally, the conversation changed very fast, and so I thought maybe I
Dudes do this for PlayStations all the time with their wives. They're going to be like, I don't know, like, I don't need it, but you know what I mean? It's like, what if, somebody comes up, what if, your fucking nephew comes over, it's not embarrassing, but it wouldn't be bad if we had one. And, and then the wife's like, you should get one. You think I should get one, really? No, you think, maybe I will. Maybe I will. And then before they go to bed, that thing is shipped.
Yeah, so this is Baldoni. I just wanted to just summarize his long answer by saying these quotes of his. Culturally, the conversation changed very fast, and so I thought maybe I shouldn't direct it. And then he skips to, he doesn't skip. He says he sought advice, basically looking for approval. And then he says, ultimately, because I had the rights to the film, and it was ultimately my decision, and in consultation with my friends, my wife, and team, ultimately, I believed in myself enough to take the role.
Hey, man, I appreciate your confidence. It obviously flies in the, it's just, whatever.
Why
it's
did you take the role? I believed in myself.
Yeah.
That's why.
And you know what? Had he pulled it off, it would have been a great move, Had they been able to hold that set down, and had he been able to deliver a $340 million box office off of his studio film directorial debut, really fucking stunning. It would have changed his life forever. Instead, he made a bad choice.
Yeah, who directed Aliens?
Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott? And who directed... Okay, because I was just thinking about, total badass female leads that women all love, right? And so, Terminator was also... That was James Cameron, right?
Yes.
So, okay. Those are two, female...
Oh, it was James Cameron that did Aliens.
Aliens?
Yeah.
Okay, so James Cameron knows how to direct women that women approve of. I was just thinking about
Ridley Scott did Alien.
He
did the first one.
What is Sigourney Weaver in Alien too?
She's in both.
Also. She's in both?
For sure.
Okay. So Alien, the first one, was Ridley Scott.
Was Rid.
Right. I just don't buy it. I don't buy I'm not on the side of only women should have taken directorial roles from films like this. I'm also of the same feeling in terms of that. Until you say something like, as the pitch, as a part of the pitch for the project, that you want to achieve the female gaze. Now, we had this discussion yesterday, I believe. Look, as an artist, bro, I get it, man. I want to write great women. Yeah, but you could do that too, though. You could.
I'm just saying, I'm not excluding anybody here. I'm not excluding anybody here. I'm saying, if you want to, as an artist, achieve, and we had this discussion yesterday, so I'm gonna stick to my guns here.
Yeah, we'll get back to that.
It's either, I want to, as an artist, achieve the ability to authentically portray the female through the female gaze in my work. I want to get to that point as an artist. Fucking A, man, that's great. Go do it. Versus I want this movie seen through, and those are the words he used that I understand, through the female gaze. And if it is through the female gaze, then he betrayed that when he took on the job. Because through the female gaze is absolutely 100% the director. That's the director. That's nobody else but the director. The women who play the women are, by default, the female gaze.
It's kind of a distraction
for the
to even talk about it,
project-
though, because here, if you think about the position he would be in if he hadn't been the director,
Yeah.
he would have been much better off. Ultimately.
Everything would have been so much better off.
Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying? Like the project, if you want the project to be through the female gaze, I don't care who the director is. If it's a man, you ain't getting that. And you're not gonna. You know what I mean?
I don't buy it. I mean, I think that there's a lot of filmmakers are capable of doing that. I don't have this like sex.
Well, again, we're splitting hairs
gender
because
exclusive idea about filmmaking. You know. Okay.
it's not, but it's about the intent. It's not about the filmmaking. You and I are. There's this glitch in our communication about it, and I think it's actually an important part of the conversation because it's to me the intent and the essence of everything that matters in the work that you do, especially in the arts. Like when you take a step forward with an intent to, through the female gaze, that's the intent. You want this project to come through the female gaze. If you're the director and you're the man, you've blocked that from happening instantly.
Yeah, well, whatever the case, it turned out to be a super consequential choice of his because look at how it all blew up.
And that's great. Like Paul Feig is good at directing, as our scientists is pointing out, and it's very true. Like, he's great at directing, and so is what's his name? He directed Notebook. He did a great job, Nick Cassavetes. But yeah, Paul Feig. I mean, he makes his living doing complex female characters, and he understands it, and he's great at it, and that's great. And he could have been a great choice for this movie, for It Ends With Us. But Justin Baldoni was not a good choice. I don't think it would have been a good. Well, anyway, we're belaboring it. You can continue.
Okay. Gottlieb's next question is on the same topic. You thought you would be the best person to direct the film, and Baldoni says, at the time I did. So maybe he no longer feels that way. Okay. Question. Did Colleen Hoover ever tell you that she wanted the director of It Ends With Us to be a woman? Gottlieb says to be a female. Which is like, why are we doing that? Okay. Baldoni says, my recollection from the very beginning was that Colleen Hoover knew I was going to be directing the film. This is why she gave me the rights. Question. So my question is, at any point in time, did Colleen Hoover ever tell you that she wanted the director of the film to be female? And Baldoni says, I don't remember a conversation like that. It may have happened, but I feel like I would remember. Okay. Gottlieb's question is, do you recall ever having a conversation with anyone where they told you that maybe the director of this movie should be a female? And Baldoni says, I think during the time that I was discussing where there was big shifts culturally, yes, which is why we were looking for a female director for quite some time. Okay, Gottlieb says, but ultimately you decided that you were better positioned to tell this story, and Baldoni says, I wouldn't characterize it that way at all. Gottlieb says, do you recall ever saying to Brandon Sklenar on the film set something to the effect of, I have to tell you something, but I don't want to get canceled or lose my job. You can't say anything on the set anymore. And Baldoni says, I have heard that in someone else's testimony, and that is not something that I said. That's not the way that I speak. Gottlieb says, whose testimony did you hear that? And Baldoni says, I believe Jenny Slate's. Did you ever come to feel like you couldn't be open or candid or unfiltered on your set? And Baldoni says, yes, but not for any reason that it's inferred in that text, nor would I ever say anything to Brendan Sklenar like that. Question. So if somebody said they heard you say that, your under oath testimony would be that they are mistaken? And Baldoni says, my under oath testimony is that I don't believe I ever said anything to that effect to Brendan Sklenar. Question. Did you say to Miss Slate when you made the sexy comment that you could say that because your wife was there? And Baldoni says, my recollection of the sexy comment was that it was all kind of said in one sentence. And Gottlieb's like, and what was the one sentence? And Baldoni says, Miss Slate walked in. As a director, I was doing whatever I was doing, getting the set ready. I looked over to her. She was wearing I believe, black leather pants, which were designed to, I'm sure, look sexy. And without thinking, I said something to the effect of, oh, wow, those pants look sexy on you. And my memory, if it serves me correctly, my wife was in the room nearby, and I think in my head, I was like, oh, maybe
I gotta fix this.
In my head, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And I said, so I guess he's quoting himself, and I say that as a married man with my wife in the other room. Because I did not want it to come off in any way like it apparently did. So I was just...
Like you knew it did because you had to correct it. And by the way, you read it the way you did, but It does sound a lot to me like the whole moment sounds a lot more like, ooh, that's because you know how he, the horny growl, right? Like the horny growl is in this man.
He said,
this dude just can't.
Something to the effect of, "Oh wow, those pants look sexy on you."
And oh wow was probably not it. He was probably because unless it was like, oh wow.
And I say that as a married man with my wife in the other room because I did not want it to come off in any way like it apparently did. So I was just in that moment. It was just
people.
What?
Harassing people.
Yeah. So I was just. Baldoni's continuing. In that moment, it was just an instance where I said something that I was like, I probably shouldn't have said that. The stenographer actually took down
Imagine being Brian Friedman and hearing that.
Where I said something that I was like, I probably shouldn't have said that, and just tried to not make it super awkward and made a bad joke at the end of it.
Gottlieb is going to say in the opening arguments, he knew he was doing it. He was self-conscious of it. He even said he felt bad about doing it. And he said he did it without thinking first. It's all right there. It's all his own words.
Okay, Gottlieb's really trying to nail this down. He said, what you just described to me, I probably shouldn't have said that. My wife is in the other room. Is that something you said out loud, or is that in your head what you were thinking? And Baldoni says, well, it was like an internal dialogue. And Gottlieb's like, internal dialogue? And Baldoni continues, it just came out. It was an instance where I had said something without thinking.
I'm seeing the coffin nails going down one at a time.
Yes. Gottlieb says, okay, have you ever discussed in the context of the events of this film and what happened on set, have you ever discussed trying to describe them as a component of neurodivergence? And Baldoni says, that being an instance, yes. And this is interesting.
Neurodivergence.
Yes, because he told his publicist to put out some sort of article or some sort of whatever statement. He struggles with impulsive speech.
Let me do this really quick because our scientist is saying, again, male versus female gazes about how the characters are framed by the camera and not the gender of the filmmaker.
Yeah, that's right.
That's true, but that's not, I don't think, how he's using it.
I don't think he understands it. No.
Yeah, no. You're right, 100%.
But in our debate,
and you were the one who brought us to that, brought our attention to that. So
right.
I remember that well.
And in our debate, you and I think we get it.
Yeah, we get that, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Justin Baldoni's interpretation of a female gaze. And when he was talking about the female gaze, he was not talking about a camera angle.
No, he was talking about how they see the world through their eyes. It's
Correct.
Just not.
Yeah, and it's not just the camera angle too, because it's, the narrative has to match that. You're not going to shoot, you know what I mean? Like they go hand in hand. But you're right.
Okay. Gottlieb said, have you ever discussed in the context of the events of this film and what happened on set, have you ever discussed trying to describe them as a component of neurodivergence? And Baldoni says, that being an instance, yes. Gottlieb says, and what is it about that instance that you believe is well, first of all, how are you neurodivergent? And Baldoni says, I have been diagnosed with ADHD combined. Gottlieb says, do you take medications for that? And Baldoni says, I do. Are any of those medications stimulants? And Baldoni says, I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but it might be yes.
Like the blow.
Gottlieb says, is that a daily medication? And he says, yes. Were you on that medication at the time of the production of It Ends With Us? And Baldoni says, I was not. Which is just astonishing to me because this guy is a very high achiever for being ADHD combined. And my hat's off to him if he was unmedicated while he was making this movie. I just don't know how people do it sometimes. Okay, were you on that medication at the time of production of It Ends With Us? And Baldoni says, I was not. Next question. Okay, is that why you suggested to your publicist at one point trying to go on a podcast or a show of some kind and have a discussion about how what you have been accused of was because of your neurodivergence? And Baldoni says, I was never going to go in a show to talk about what I have been accused of. I remember specifically one being very interested in general. I don't understand what this sentence is. I remember specifically one being very interested.
One being very interested in.
I don't think he's making a list.
Okay.
I remember specifically one being very interested in general to go on a certain show. He's talking about Dr. Amen. He was telling his publicist that he should go get his brain scanned by this psychiatrist.
Yeah, I remember all this, yeah.
Baldoni says, I believe his name is Dr. Amen, who literally saved the life of one of my best friends, and the thing that at the time and the things that at the time I knew I was being, I don't think accused of is the right word, but I knew that I had these instances that had made, as an example, Miss Slate feel uncomfortable, or at the time Miss Lively, had to do with a few instances where I made the mistake of saying something where I didn't think fully. And Gottlieb said, is that something you describe of as impulsive speech? And Baldoni says, I think it could be characterized as that, although I'm not a therapist. Gottlieb said, would it surprise you to learn that in talking with some people from your publicist team, you described going on that show of that doctor in order to discuss some of the things that you had been, quote, accused of? And Baldoni says, that would surprise me because that was not something that I specifically ever said. I never said I wanted to go on a show to discuss things I've been accused of. Gottlieb said, you never said most of what I've been accused of could be explained by your neurodivergence. He's like quoting his text. Okay. Baldoni says, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but what you have just said is not what you had just asked me previously. Gottlieb says, well, I'm focused on the words accused of, and you seem to be saying that you've never described what happened on the set of It Ends With Us in those terms. I'm trying to understand if that's what your testimony is. And Baldoni says, no, my testimony is specifically to your question, which was, did I ever try to go on a show to specifically discuss the things that I was accused of on the set of It Ends With Us? And Gottlieb says, okay. Baldoni continues, so to answer your question, no. And I do believe that the other answer to your question is that impulsive speech could absolutely be, and is oftentimes the reason, for someone like myself saying something that I didn't fully think through.
Deanne says, she says, blame, where is it? Blame porn, blame ADHD, but do not blame me. It's like a poem.
Yeah, I know. I know. He, in an interview, he was talking about how he's method acting too, so he couldn't, he couldn't be responsible for his actions. It's like crazy. Okay, at no point is Baldoni ever going to take responsibility for anything. He's in charge of literally everything, but it's everyone else's fault. Okay. Gottlieb's question. Mr. Baldoni, you've been handed what's been marked as Exhibit 28. It's a text exchange on June 24th, 2024. So this is right before the premiere. Between yourself, Miss Abel, and Matthew Mitchell. Please take a look. Once you're done, I'll ask you some questions. He says, okay, you've read the document marked as Exhibit 28. Baldoni says, I have. This is a text exchange between you and Miss Abel and Mr. Mitchell, June 24th, 2024. This is before the premiere? And Baldoni says, yes. This is before any of the social media controversy about the premiere and the events surrounding the premiere had surfaced. Is that right? And Baldoni says, I'm unsure. Gottlieb says, and you write at 12:52 p.m. on the 24th to this group that you're thinking about the Dr. Amen. Is it Amen or Amen? I think he's trying to figure out how to pronounce it. Obviously, they're spelled the same. Baldoni says, I think it's, I don't know, Amen. I'm kind of guessing too. We'll use Amen. You wanted to do the Dr. Amen show, you say, and he's reading Baldoni's quote. With everything going on, I want to have an offensive move showing my neurodivergence and some of the attributes that come with it so that I can start talking about it. Most anything that I have been accused of is social awkwardness and impulsive speech. And I think me sitting down with him and just looking at my brain and talking about some of these things will be helpful for me. Gottlieb says, do you see that? He says, I do. You wrote that? Baldoni says, I do. What had you been accused of as of June 24th, 2024? Great question.
So what's the question again? I'm sorry. I was laughing.
This is prior to the premiere.
Yeah.
And he's going on the offensive, claiming it's defense, wanting to get ahead of some things that he's been accused of.
That's
but
offense.
The premiere hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, that's offense.
So Baldoni is asked, what had you been accused of as of June 24th, 2024? Baldoni says...
Gottlieb asked. Yes, of course. You said Baldoni asked.
Oh, I screwed up. Okay, thank you for correcting me. Okay, Gottlieb says, what had you been accused of as of June 24th, 2024? Baldoni says, so what I had put in quotes there is because I haven't been accused of. That's why I put it in quotes. The word accused of was in quotes. So there was nothing I had been officially accused of, hence the need for quotation. He's admitting it. There's nothing he had been accused of. He thinks. But he wants to get ahead of it. How is that normal? Okay.
Well, it means that it's not defense. It's offense. That's offensive. He anticipated something that wasn't real, and then he acted on that in an offensive manner.
Yep, instructing his publicists to create a narrative.
It's so interesting because he's created a complete fallacy by reversing the reality, which is that there was not what he needed. He needed this as an excuse. What's amazing about it is that he also says in another breath that everything that they were doing was in anticipation. Mm-hmm. They weren't gonna, do you remember that whole phase when all of the Baldoni fans were out there screaming? They said they were gonna do it if they had to do it. They didn't have to do it because she did it to herself. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So this flies in the face of that very clearly.
Okay, so he has a long answer here. So he said, so there was nothing I had officially been accused of, hence the need for quotation. I believe by this point I was made aware of the unfollowing. Like more than a week before the premiere. Mm-hmm. And something that I had been working on over the last year and a half in therapy was my neurodivergence and a lifetime of being undiagnosed and the suffering that comes along with that. And so what I'm suggesting here is, first of all, the Dr. Amen show had reached out to me independently, and I had been wanting to do it because it's very expensive to get the brain scan done, and they were offering it for free, number one.
He bought 2 mansions and 1 bungalow
in Southern California,
in one of the most expensive real estate markets on the planet. One of the other mansions is in Tennessee, in Nashville.
7,000 square feet.
7,000 square feet.
Come on.
This guy and the fucking bullshit that they make up.
I mean, brain scans are expensive, I guess, if he's penny
So are mansions.
Okay. And they were offering the brain scan for free, number one. He says, in some way, I think I was justifying why to do it with my team. And I also thought it would be really helpful, as I've done with everything else in my life, to use my own experiences and shortcomings, or in this case, neurodivergence, to help other people feel seen.
He's so important to us.
So yeah, it would have been helpful for me to sit down and have him scan my brain and tell me specifically what's going on.
How can I help the rest of the world? And you can help me by getting me this really expensive thing that I can't afford. Can we do it in my mansion?
He wanted to help people by getting his own brain scanned.
Yeah, he wanted to get his own brain scanned. He was using his celebrity to get it done.
And then he wanted to monetize that.
And they wanted to monetize it. Yeah, it's just so obvious.
Cool.
Okay. Which is fine, but just fucking say what it is,
I know.
bro. I mean, it's
not to help other people feel seen.
Miley Cyrus would.
You're trying to be seen. Okay. Question.
Yeah.
Your testimony is that when you wrote this at 12:52 p.m. on June 24th, that when you said most anything I have been accused of is social awkwardness and impulsive speech, you were referring to a null set, and Baldoni says, "I'm sorry," because I don't understand that either. And Gottlieb says, well, you said in response to a question that the reason you put accused of in quotes is because there had nothing you had been officially accused of, hence the need for quotation. And then you said, I believe by this point I was made aware of the unfollowing. So maybe I'm misunderstanding your testimony. Baldoni goes, what does null set mean? I don't understand what that means. And Gottlieb says, maybe I'm misunderstanding your testimony. Is your testimony that you had not been officially accused of anything as of this point? And Baldoni says, I hadn't been accused of anything.
That's not fucking
true. There had been, if you will, allusions to things. I think that's a misspelling. Allusions.
Alludings?
Yeah, they spelled it illusions, but I'm
no,
sure
that's not
allusions.
What that is. Those are complaints about your misconduct that you are reframing.
I hadn't been accused of anything. There had been, if you will, allusions to things, but there
we won't will.
But there has not been like an accusation of sorts.
No, we won't will is funny. Right.
Gottlieb says, is what you were saying to your team here that the thing you wanted to get ahead of were insinuations about your conduct? And Baldoni says, I think that I wanted to make it very public because I had spent the last decade using the things I was struggling with to help people. I wanted to also show that I had been diagnosed as neurodivergent, and like so many people, I struggle with it. And I thought it could really be helpful to myself, but also to others.
I'm telling you, he's important.
Gottlieb says, you know what it means to get ahead of a problem or to get ahead of an issue, right?
If he were here right now, I would hug him like Brett Ratner hugs Jeffrey Epstein one person over.
No, listen, this is a good question.
Okay.
Gottlieb says, you know what it means to get ahead of a problem or to get ahead of an issue, right? And Baldoni says, yes. Gottlieb says, you had concerns as of this point, by late June. that something might come out publicly about what had happened on the set of It Ends With Us, correct? And Baldoni says, by this point in late June, Miss Lively had acknowledged that everything on round 2 had gone perfect. Round 2 of filming after the strike. We had gone through the edit. By this point, I had had my film taken from me. I was excluded from finishing my own movie.
That wasn't the question.
Not being able to sound mix, color, even approve the final picture. The cast had begun unfollowing me, and I was also told that I was not going to be sure if I was going to be attending the premiere. I did not know what was possible because nobody was saying anything. It was all whisperings, and I was preparing for absolutely anything. Gottlieb asks, by this point in late June of 2024, did you understand that it had been insinuated that you had sexually harassed Miss Lively, or that you had engaged in sexual harassment on the set of It Ends With Us? And Baldoni says, I had never thought of the words sexual harassment. There had been insinuations of various things, but done in a way that didn't actually say anything.
To whom?
Gottlieb says, not insinuations of sexual harassment. Is that what you're saying? And Baldoni says, the word, in quotes, sexual harassment or anything around sexual harassment, first time I ever saw that was in the New York Times and when you emailed me.
Dear Justin. Hello. My name is
You've been accused.
Your Worst Nightmare.
Gottlieb
I heard
says,
you've got a billionaire, and I'm so glad because you're going to need one.
Gottlieb says, okay, I want to be very clear. The word sexual harassment never occurred to you in respect to what Miss Lively had described happened on the set until you received her complaint. Is that your testimony? And Baldoni says, I can't say it never occurred to me.
Oh, see?
He just said.
Oh, my God, this motherfucker, man.
Baldoni says, I can't say it never.
Well, okay, yeah, maybe it did. Probably right in the moment. Like when I was sitting there with Jenny Slate and I was like, ooh, I better like fucking engage the wife at this point because this looks bad.
Bad how? Bad why?
Bad how? Bad why?
It never occurred to you?
It never occurred to you. Bullshit. You just called a woman in leather pants sexy and then you have to invoke your wife in order to fucking protect yourself from what was inevitably going to be a complaint about the way you're talking to your cast members. You're the fucking boss, you fool.
Okay. I want to be very clear. The word sexual harassment.
Hanada said Baldoni is so trapped in this deposition. He is trapped.
So trapped. Yeah, I know. It's not going to fare well for him.
It's just the interesting thing about like saying, hey, I wish these guys would read it because I don't even think they would recognize how Gottlieb is boxing this fucking dude up.
Okay, but let me just get back to
I'm excited and I'm going to be so.
Okay. Gottlieb says, I want to be very clear. The word sexual harassment never occurred to you in respect to what Miss Lively had described happening on the set until you received her complaint. Is that your testimony? And Baldoni says, I can't say it never occurred to me. It was very clear that Miss Lively was insinuating things that came to a return to work document. But to answer your question, I can't say if I ever thought she was insinuating the word sexual harassment or not. I don't know.
I was thinking maybe it was like, I don't know, like maybe it was like,
You know what I thought? I thought it was much more like sensuous harassment.
Yeah, that's it. Sensuous harassment. It was more like, I don't know. It was more like sex. I guess
Just make it sound so bad.
Yo, I don't know who Ann2846 is, except that she's fucking hilarious. This guy gets stem cells for free in strip malls. He would want a brain scan for free. That's
true.
really funny.
I mean, I don't blame him. I would like a free brain scan too.
I'm gonna go get.
If you're handing.
Yeah, but you fucking you got to pay rent. This guy charges $40,000 a month in rent.
Okay, Gottlieb says, next question. Do you ever recall communicating to anyone that you thought sexual harassment was being insinuated or suggested about you and your conduct? And Baldoni says, I'm not sure, but I know that I certainly didn't agree with or the insinuations.
Well, why would you? You're the fucking accused, Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Gottlieb says,
bona fide.
If you had thought that sexual harassment was being insinuated, suggested, would you have wanted some kind of an investigation to be done to exonerate yourself? And Baldoni says, I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, he couldn't have set you up for a yes. I think, like.
Oh, we've arrived at the product placement part of the deposition. Okay. All right. Next question by Gottlieb. Okay. I'm going to mark a document. Before I do, Mr. Baldoni, I see you have a drink in front of you. Baldoni says yes.
Rum and Coke.
Gottlieb said, that's a drink called Update, right? And Baldoni says yes. And Gottlieb says, are you a sponsor or a promoter of Update? And Baldoni says, a sponsor? And Gottlieb said, yeah. And Baldoni says, what do you mean by a sponsor?
I fucking own this shit, bro.
Gottlieb says, have you ever done promotions for that drink that is sitting in front of you here today? Because he's on a video deposition.
Yeah.
And if he's got a drink, he's trying to promote.
Because he knows it's going to get out.
Yes.
He's just a fucking criminal.
You know what I mean? Baldoni says, I am an investor in it. Gottlieb says, you're an investor? And he says, yeah. Are you listening?
I am. He's an investor. I knew he was.
Gottlieb says, have you ever done social media posts or any kind of product endorsement for that drink? And Baldoni says, I may have done a story, probably at some point. Gottlieb says, did you ever do a story or promotion about that drink during the marketing of the film It Ends With Us? And Baldoni says, actually, I think I had given one to my publicist, Jen, and she was wired and she liked it. So I did a story of her drinking it. I did, yes. Gottlieb says she was wired, and Baldoni says she was like enjoying it. She was like enjoying the drink. Gottlieb says, it's a stimulant, right? And Baldoni says, it's a non-caffeinated stimulant. Gottlieb says, are you aware of how relentlessly...
So is fucking vodka.
Are you aware of how relentlessly Miss Lively has been savaged for promoting her hair care products during the marketing of It Ends With Us? And Baldoni said, I'm aware that's part of... I don't know if I would ever use the word savaged, but I'm assuming you mean like had negative press. And Gottlieb says, have you ever commented on Miss Lively's marketing of her products during the time that It Ends With Us was being promoted in marketing? And Baldoni said, publicly? And Gottlieb clarifies, publicly or privately?
At all.
And Baldoni says, I'm sure I did privately. Gottlieb says, have you ever said it was tone deaf? And Baldoni says, I don't know if I said those words, meaning they came from me, or if I was repeating that that's what I heard. But I'm sure, I feel like that's what it was, yes.
All scientists corrected me and said that alcohol is a depressant, and I just want you to know that I felt stupid as soon as I said it. I know.
What did you say?
Stimulant. And then I said, so is vodka, because it's caffeine free. Mm-hmm. And I made a fool of myself.
Are you gonna go stand in the corner?
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to live with it for the rest of my life. It's on. I'm on record and everything. It's just like, I'm fucking fucked.
Everybody knows forever.
Baldoni fans are gonna be like, this fucking guy's losing his faculties.
He doesn't know his substances. Okay. Do you know? Gottlieb is asking, do you know if your team has ever criticized Miss Lively for the marketing of her hair care products during the launch of It Ends With Us? And Baldoni says, I think they have. Boom. There you have it, folks. Open and shut case. Do you know if your team has ever criticized Miss Lively for the marketing of her hair care products?
Well, that doesn't mean publicly, but we're getting there.
Oh, it doesn't mean publicly.
He has established that as being any time.
Because I was like, that wasn't supposed to have come from them. That was supposed to be organic.
Let's hear where this goes.
Gottlieb says, you thought, in fact, that Miss Lively deserved to be criticized for promoting her hair care products around the same time that It Ends With Us was released, didn't you? And Baldoni says, I don't think that's a fair characterization of what I thought. Gottlieb says, you were happy that Miss Lively was attacked for promoting her products during the launch of It Ends With Us, were you not? And Baldoni says, I don't think that's a fair characterization of what's, and he gets cut off. Gottlieb says, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 29.
Objection. Let the fucking answer.
Exhibit 29 is a document. This is a text exchange between yourself, Mr. Heath, Miss Toskovich, Miss Abel, and others on August 5th, 2024. So this is just prior to the premiere, when they're doing a bunch of marketing.
Right.
Gottlieb asks, do you see on the first page there that you have sent through a picture of an update drink? And Baldoni says, I have. And that's the same drink you've got in front of you right now, right? Different flavor? And Baldoni says, it's a different flavor. Gottlieb says, same drink, different flavor.
What's your favorite?
Baldoni says, yes. Gottlieb says, and then you, is this your social media team that you're texting with on this chain? And Baldoni says, I believe it was at the time. You and your social media team talk about a social media post, which I think it looks like an Instagram story. Is that right? He says, that's correct. And the comment on one of those that appears on this page is, and he's reading the quote, it ends with movie press tour day 1. Gotta fuel up with drink update. Do you see that?
You fucking dick.
He says, I do. Gottlieb continues to read. It says, and he's quoting, keeps me energized without the caffeine. Do you see that? And Baldoni says, oh, yes, on the second page I do. Gottlieb says, so you were promoting August 5th. That was the first day of the press junket. Is that right? And Baldoni says, I don't know the first day of the press junket. But Gottlieb says, that's the same day you gave an interview with...
A stimulant, too. You know?
I know.
Not a depressant.
Gottlieb says, that's the same day you gave an interview with Elle UK magazine in which you first used the word friction. And Baldoni says, I probably did like 20, 30, 40 interviews that day. I don't know. But I imagine...
Very popular and in demand.
He was like, I had this drink, you see. So I was like, ready.
I popped them off, eyes wide open.
He said, I don't know, but I imagine it was the same day. Okay, Gottlieb's next question is, do you see on page 93, if you flip further in, there's a picture of you... and he's reading through it, so they're giving him some time. Okay, Gottlieb says at the bottom, do you see a picture of yourself there? He says, I do. And Gottlieb says, I think I recognize that hotel. It's a hotel in New York City you're standing in?
I picture him doing it like this. I picture him going like, yeah, I do.
That's me.
Yeah. That's me. You know, he bites his lip. Yeah, that's me.
Okay. One of the funniest jokes you ever said, it came to mind, so I'm going to say it. One of the funniest jokes you've ever done is you were talking about a character who is so socially awkward that they try to flirt by biting their top lip. And it still gets me all the time every time I think about it. Like trying to bite your top lip at somebody across the bar.
Hey, you want to come up to the apartment and have a drink?
It doesn't go that way. But they don't know because they're so bad at this.
They have no idea, and the person's like, it's like a straight up SNL skit, right?
I know. It's so funny. Okay. Okay, Gottlieb is asking, I think I recognize that hotel. It's a hotel in New York City you're standing in? And Baldoni says yes. And Gottlieb says, I like that hotel. And Baldoni says, me too.
Fucking rich people.
I know.
All the fucking rich people are like, yeah. You know what my favorite thing is? The Brussels sprouts. Nobody makes Brussels sprouts like they do.
They're like on opposing sides of a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, but they could like fucking rub elbows about where they stay.
Hey, Gottlieb probably like mortified Blake buying. I like him. I like him.
I think he's all right.
He's handsome.
Okay, Gottlieb's question. You've got a very good-looking outfit on, and in the caption there are different brands.
I just said handsome.
Unbelievable. And in the caption there are different brands that are tagged there. Is that right? And Baldoni says, styling and grooming. Oh, sorry. Yes. Gottlieb says, do you see the different brands that are being for top, pants, shoes, watch, and necklace? He says, yes. And those are meant to be tagged in a social media post? And Baldoni says, yes. To let people know what you're wearing, right? And Baldoni says, yes.
Because you're selling it, right? Because you're going to make money on it, right?
Question. That's pretty standard during the promotion. Well, that's fairly standard when you're wearing clothes, movie star, promoting a film to let people know what brands you're wearing.
Oh.
And Baldoni says, this is fairly new to me, but I believe it's standard for movie stars.
Okay. And I'm a movie star.
Huh?
I'm a star.
Gottlieb says, did you ever get any backlash that you can recall for being insensitive or tone deaf, for promoting a drink in which you were an investor, or clothing that you were wearing in connection with your promotion of the film It Ends With Us? And Baldoni says, to my knowledge, I don't know if there was a direct link between the molecule paraxanthine and comes from caffeine and domestic violence. So I don't believe there was any backlash for me posting one Instagram story about this drink.
You can, she can't.
Gottlieb
That's where we live. We live in a you can, she can't.
Right. Gottlieb says, I will move to strike that as non-responsive.
Yeah, fuck you.
Gottlieb says, my question was, did you ever get any backlash that you can recall for being insensitive or tone deaf for promoting a drink in which you were an investor, or clothing that you were wearing in connection with your promotion of the film It Ends With Us? Yes or no? And Baldoni says, I'm not going to answer the question the way it was framed. Gottlieb says, you have to. It's my deposition. And Ms. Shapiro objects. Objection, Mr. Heath. Just Mr. Heath. Oh, I guess she got the name wrong. There's a little sick there. Just answer it however best you can. And Gottlieb says, he's Mr. Baldoni. And she says, sorry. Mr. Box speaks up, says, he should answer it too. Baldoni says, who am I? Can I ask it again? Or sorry, can you... Baldoni says, who am I? Can you ask it again? They're having a little tiff.
I'm getting mad. I'm getting really fucking mad because he's like sitting there telling people I'm not going to answer the questions that you ask me.
Yeah.
Is some fucking shit, bro.
Yeah, right. Gottlieb says, it's a yes or no question.
Yeah.
Do you recall ever receiving any social media backlash for your promotion of that drink on August 5th, 2024? And Baldoni says, I don't recall any backlash to me posting about update.
And you know why? Because there was no smear campaign against Justin Baldoni.
That's right.
That's why.
Mm-hmm. Question, do you recall any backlash for you tagging Hauer, Manolo, another brand, David Yurman, in connection with this picture that was posted on August 5th, 2024? Baldoni says, I don't recall any backlash specific to my outfit or the text, no.
No.
Okay. Can you ever recall anyone telling you that they thought doing this, nodding to products in connection with a very serious movie, was insensitive or tone deaf? And Baldoni says, no.
No. Well, because you're a dude.
Gottlieb says, is that gendered?
Yeah, exactly.
And that gets an objection, but Baldoni says, may I answer the question?
Oh, now he wants to fucking answer the question now.
Yes. Gottlieb says, it's the reason I asked it.
Yeah.
Ms. Shapiro speaks up, says, objection to the commentary.
Well, shut your mouth, too.
Baldoni says, I don't believe it's gendered. Gottlieb says, all right, I think we've been going for a while. Why don't we go off the record? Okay, they're taking a break.
And then that's where Gottlieb's like, no, seriously, you looked really good in that picture.
What were the shoes you were wearing? Those
Yeah.
were stylish.
Are those links still active? Because, yeah, I'm in the market.
Gotta wet my whistle here. Okay. All right, next question. They're back from break. What character did Isabella Ferreira play in the movie? Baldoni says she played young Lily Bloom. Was young Lily Bloom under the age of 18? And Baldoni says the character was under the age of 18. Gottlieb said, that's what I meant. The character, young Lily Bloom, was under the age of 18 or supposed to be depicting someone under the age of 18. And Baldoni says, correct. Was there a sex scene involving young Lily Bloom? And Baldoni said, yes. Did you attend Miss Ferrer's deposition? Baldoni says, parts of it. Did you attend the part where she testified under oath that after she and Alex Neustetler, sorry.
I think you did a great job.
Neustatter. I don't know.
All right.
It's a very interesting last name. Sorry. Did you attend the part where she testified under oath that after she and Alex Neustatter filmed a sex scene, you went up to them and said, I know I'm not supposed to say this. But that was hot. Baldoni says, I heard that part, yes. Was that true? And Baldoni says, I have no memory of saying that to them.
Must not have happened then.
Gottlieb says, do you believe Miss Ferrer is a truthful person? And Baldoni says, I have no way of knowing. Gottlieb says, if you said that, could you understand how Miss Ferrer could be taken aback or upset by that comment? And Baldoni says, as a director, I probably say, go up to actors in between scenes 100 times a day, and whatever I said in that moment was attempting to make them feel good about what they just did and comfortable. I don't think the context of the way I said it was offensive at all.
Oh, so now he's admitting to it. He just admitted to it, didn't he?
He did.
Isn't that fucking
Sounds like an
wild?
admission.
He just did because he said, I didn't say it.
I don't think the
And they
context
said,
of the way I said it was offensive at all.
I mean, he just admitted it. You know, that's an admission.
Gottlieb says, okay, did you ever do any writing on the script during the period of the writer's strike? Do you see how he pivoted? Because he got him.
He got him.
And he didn't want him to spend another moment thinking
I said it. Mm-hmm. It's right there.
I love these litigators are so...
They're fucking
sharp.
clever, bro. It's just like, was it Hanada? Whoever said that he's boxing him up. Maybe it was a scientist.
Mm-hmm. Okay, did you ever do any writing on the script during the period of the writer's strike? And Baldoni says, that is when the majority of the changes were made, yes. Including changes that you made? And Baldoni says, yes.
During the writer's strike?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Did you ever ask while you were making changes to the script during the strike to have your name removed from the draft of the script? And Baldoni says, on the contrary, I remember thinking that I should put both my name and Miss Lively's name on it. And then I was told that we should probably have it removed and in place put Ange Gianetti's name. Gottlieb says, and you did that, right? He said, yes. And the reason for doing that, and you have a very good memory, the reason for doing that was to show solidarity with the strike. Is that right? And Baldoni says, I don't believe that to be the reason. Gottlieb says, would you be surprised if there was an email where you said that the reason for taking your name off of the script was in order to show solidarity with the strike? And Baldoni says, I don't know if I'd be surprised at anything at this point. Gottlieb said, that's not one of the documents you reviewed in preparation for your testimony today? And Baldoni says, I'm not allowed to comment on the documents that I reviewed. Gottlieb says, you are allowed to comment if it was a document that you reviewed in preparation for your testimony today. And Baldoni's attorney, Shapiro, speaks up, says, no, I'm instructing you not to reveal what, if any, which, if any, documents you were shown by your attorneys, which is protected by the privilege work product. And Baldoni says, I'd be happy to see the document. Gottlieb says, you're going to follow your attorney's instructions on that? And Baldoni says, I'd like to do that, yes. Gottlieb says, did you ever cross picket lines? And Baldoni says, I think every time I was on set during the writer's strike, I was crossing the picket line. Did you ever ask anyone else to cross picket lines during the writer's strike? And Baldoni says, we only asked people to cross if they were comfortable crossing.
Which you were.
Gottlieb said, is that a yes? And Baldoni says, I didn't personally ask anybody to cross a picket line, no.
Yes, you did. You're
Gottlieb
the boss
said,
and you showed up for work.
I know. Gottlieb said, but Wayfarer Studios did. And that gets an objection. And Gottlieb continues, if they were comfortable. And Baldoni says, I would say the production... It was very clear to everybody that if they didn't want to cross, they didn't have to cross. That was my understanding of it, but I wasn't in charge of that. Gottlieb says, did you ever tell Miss Abel or Miss Nathan you were out talking to the press about Ryan Reynolds crossing picket lines and violating guild rules, that you yourself had crossed picket lines and violated the terms of the writer's strike? And Baldoni says, I don't remember ever saying Ryan Reynolds crossed a picket line. Gottlieb says, did you ever mention to Miss Abel or Miss Nathan at all that you had written on the script during the writer's strike? And Baldoni says, I think Miss Abel was aware that I wrote. Do you see what he's doing?
Yes.
I can't believe that he's like, everything is a projection with this guy. And like, who cares, right? Like, the only reason why it's a scandal is because he's made it into one.
Yep.
Okay, Gottlieb says, why did you think... he said, I think Miss Abel was aware that I wrote on the script during the writer's strike. And Gottlieb says, why do you think that? And Baldoni says, because Miss Abel was aware that both myself and Blake wrote, I had told her. Question, did you tell her that you had also, Wayfarer Studios had also asked people who were comfortable to cross picket lines to come to work? And Baldoni says, I don't remember a specific conversation with Miss Abel about that. Gottlieb said, we talked a little bit earlier about a comment using the word sexy involving both Miss Slate and Miss Lively, right? He said, yes. The comment to Miss Lively, am I right that occurred during the filming of the bar scene? And Baldoni says, the onesie bar scene, yes. Gottlieb says, the onesie bar scene. And is it correct that you made a comment that Miss Lively, her dress, and I'll let you characterize it, looked sexy or hot? And Baldoni said, no. Question, what did you say? Baldoni says, it wasn't a dress, so I was just answering your question. Gottlieb said, I didn't mean to say her dress, but it appears from the transcript I did. How would you characterize your comment using the word sexy? Baldoni says, in a conversation where I was speaking to Miss Lively about her wardrobe as the director, I wanted to see the onesie because all of the characters were wearing onesies. She had a large jacket on, and we were having a bit of a negotiation as I was trying to gently ask her to remove it. And like many conversations with Miss Lively, there's a back and forth that can go on for quite some time, and it got to the point where I believe I said to her that it looked hot, to which she replied earlier she had said that she thought it was cute, and that's why she wanted to wear it. And then I had said it, down the line, I had said it looked hot, and she said that's not what I was going for. And then I made a joke. I said, sexy? And she goes, not that either. And then immediately I paused, and I said, I'm sorry, did I just cross a boundary? And Mrs. Slate shared what we talked about earlier, to which case I thanked them both. I apologized to Miss Lively again. And I was in the middle of,
There it goes. I mean, it's just, there's another admission of an event that, I mean, it's just, come
you can minimize it all you want, bro, but it's not up to you about whether
it doesn't change the fact that you did that and that they felt uncomfortable.
Like, if you wanted to protect your company, you could have, like, filed a report, had it investigated.
But
like,
there he is also, again, being self-conscious.
Yeah.
And once again, recognizing that he wasn't supposed to do that, but that he did it.
Yeah.
And now he's made people uncomfortable
Yeah.
and that he had to apologize.
That Jenny Slate had already talked to him earlier about the same kind of language usage, and he fucked up again and was like, oh, whoops, sorry. Like, I guess it didn't fucking, like...
And that's why apologies aren't a solution.
Earlier, huh?
That's why apologies aren't the solution.
Yeah, him, like, brushing it off like this, obviously it's not fixing anything. Baldoni continues, and I was in the middle of, getting everything ready, and I think at one point I let Miss Lively know that she had something in her teeth before filming because we were getting ready to go shoot. And then I came back later, 5 minutes later, before we started filming, and I thanked Miss Slate for what she said. I said something along the lines of, that can't be easy. I wish you didn't need to say what you said, and I really appreciate you sharing that with me. And I apologized again to Miss Lively for using the word sexy as it related specifically to her character's wardrobe. Gottlieb says...
Once again, so he double acknowledged. So basically he had to double down on his apologies because it was eating at him, because he knew that he had made two women feel uncomfortable on the same set, on the same day. I mean, he knows that he's fucking...
He tells these women, that can't be easy. I wish you didn't need to say what you said, and I really appreciate you sharing that with me. Can you just help them not have to? Like, do you understand how these are actors who are, like, trying to marshal all of their, like, creative and expressive energy into the role you hired them for, and instead they're having to manage this fucking man-child that needs to be told how to behave?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
It would be really cool if he could just, like, liberate them from the fucking task of having to correct him all the time. Okay, Gottlieb's next question. Were the cameras rolling when that exchange happened? And Baldoni's asking, the cameras for the movie? And Gottlieb says, any cameras. Baldoni says, I believe there were some behind-the-scenes cameras filming, yes. Gottlieb says, have you watched the video from that exchange? And Baldoni says, I have. Have you produced the video from that exchange in this case to Miss Lively? And Baldoni says, I believe every single piece of video as it relates to the movie was produced from my attorneys. Gottlieb says, when did you last watch that scene, that recording? Baldoni says, January, maybe. You didn't mention anything about missing the HR meeting? Did you say anything about missing the HR meeting? And Baldoni says, yes, I did. In response to Jenny Slate's kind of, as I mentioned earlier, joke, as she was saying.
Is that you rolling your fucking eyes at the camera? Mm-hmm. Because it's such a goddamn burden to you to fucking, act dignified?
Yeah, it's not exactly how he represents it in his testimony. Baldoni says, yes, I did, in response to Jenny Slate's kind of, as I mentioned earlier, joke, as she was saying, we don't say that anymore. I immediately responded and I said, I guess I missed the sexual harassment meeting.
Classy, bro.
Gottlieb said, did you miss the sexual harassment meeting? And Baldoni says, that's why I made the joke, because I did not miss the sexual harassment meeting.
Hilarious.
Oh, great. Sarcasm.
Hilarious.
Sarcasm is wonderful. Everybody loves that.
So you're in defiance.
When they're in a conflict with their boss, what they love is sarcasm.
So you're in defiance of your company's own policy.
Fucking believable.
You're willfully defying your company's own policy.
No, you did not miss the sexual harassment meeting. You just decided to act like an asshole in spite of having been told how not to.
That's right.
Okay. Gottlieb says, all right, let's look at a document. This is a document that's been marked as Exhibit 30, another text exchange between Miss Sachs and Miss Gianetti on June 1st, 2023. I'm really only going to be asking you, Mr. Baldoni, about the exchange on page this, whatever. Actually, sorry, there's a bit of a carryover. Baldoni says, I would still like to read the whole document if possible. Gottlieb says, I'm just trying to help direct your attention, so go ahead and read. Okay, Gottlieb's question. And this is a text exchange between Miss Sachs and Miss Gianetti on June 1st, 2023. You saw one of the things they were discussing was Miss Sachs's belief that they needed new ADs on the film immediately. Baldoni says yes. And she wasn't saying in what you just read that Miss Lively was telling her there needed to be new ADs, right? And Baldoni says no. Gottlieb says that was Miss Sachs's view. And Baldoni says that is. I did not read her saying anything about Miss Lively wanting new ADs. Gottlieb says, on the first 2 pages of this document, do you see Miss Sachs recounts a conversation that she participated in between Miss Lively and Mr. Heath? He says yes. And she describes that as a tough chat. And Baldoni says, that's what she says. Gottlieb reads, and she says, this is the quote, called Jamie out in front of me and Justin kindly, but was very direct.
Called Jamie out in front of me and Justin beside me.
This is Miss Sachs recounting a conversation that she participated in between Miss Lively and Mr. Heath.
Yeah.
The June 1st, according to Baldoni's own timeline exhibit, June 1st was when they had a meeting in her trailer. She called a meeting, and according to Blake Lively's testimony, she called a meeting for a different reason. But then they started talking about the sexual harassment complaints that she'd had. So in their timeline exhibit, Baldoni's attorneys had written out that it was that she had voiced several complaints about sexual harassment in the first 2 weeks of filming prior to June 1st. Okay. She says that wasn't the point of the meeting that she called, but that's what ended up happening. And Miss Sachs apparently was in attendance and is writing about it. Said, in quotes, called Jamie out in front of me and Justin kindly, but was very direct. Baldoni says, I see that. Did you witness that conversation? And Baldoni says, I believe I did. Gottlieb says, do you see on this page 9:42 p.m., 9:42 a.m., Miss Sachs begins to describe, well, she says, and he's reading this quote, you, Jamie, make jokes about how you can't make eye contact with people anymore, as if to undermine and lessen the importance of people not wanting to be cozy. Comfy, cozy on the set. Do you see that? And he says, yes. Did you ever make jokes about being unable to make eye contact with people on the set anymore? And Baldoni says, I did not. Did Mr. Heath? And Baldoni says, I don't know what Mr. Heath did. Gottlieb says, okay, and then she describes a meeting that took place on day 2 in which Mr. Heath went into Miss Lively's trailer. You see that? He says, I see that. Is what Miss Sachs describes here an accurate reflection of what Miss Lively said during that meeting that you witnessed? He has to rephrase the question. The description of what Miss Lively said and how she described the meeting in the trailer that you see here on this page, is that an accurate reflection of what you recall Miss Lively saying? And Baldoni says, I think that's why I'm a bit confused because you said Miss Lively. Gottlieb says, Miss Sachs is describing something Miss Lively said, right? And Baldoni says, I'm sorry. Before you said Miss Lively. Gottlieb's like, I know. Let's start at step 1. We can agree that Miss Sachs is describing something Miss Lively has said. And he said, yes. So Gottlieb says, and that was something Miss Lively said in a conversation that you witnessed, correct? And Baldoni says, okay. If I can repeat the question and tell me if I'm right, if what Alex Sachs is texting Ange Gianetti here, if this is what I remember Miss Lively saying in the meeting that I witnessed, and Gottlieb says, right now I'm not asking you about what happened in the trailer, I'm asking you about your recollection of the meeting that you witnessed and whether this description is an accurate reflection as you sit here today of the meeting that you witnessed. And Baldoni says, first he says, this is accurate, then he says, I don't think it's fully accurate. So he interrupted him in the middle of his question, said, this is accurate. And then finally fixed it, said, I don't think it's fully accurate. Gottlieb says, okay, let's go step by step. Do you recall Miss Lively saying that on day 2, Mr. Heath went into her trailer? And Baldoni says, I don't recall her saying that on day 2, Mr. Heath went into her trailer. Do you recall Miss Lively telling a story about Mr. Heath entering her trailer? He says, yes. Do you recall her saying, oh, actually, I'm getting body makeup done or something to that effect? Baldoni says, I recall the way she told the story was that when he entered, she said, come in, but I'm getting body makeup done, so please turn away. Gottlieb says, and that's more or less what Miss Sachs is saying here in this document. She says, in quotes, you can come in if you don't look. Baldoni says, again, I don't remember her saying, you can come in if you don't look. That doesn't feel accurate to me. Nor does this next piece, Baldoni continues, that's all I'm saying is my recollection. This is like 4 lines in a text message, so I can't say this is exactly what Miss Lively said. Gottlieb says, do you recall Miss Lively saying that Mr. Heath was looking in her direction the entire conversation when she turned around? And Baldoni says, no. I remember Miss Lively saying that when she turned around, she had noticed that Mr. Heath was looking in her direction. Gottlieb says, and do you recall Miss Lively saying that made her feel uncomfortable? And he said, no. I just want to point out, this struck me as something very clever. This attorney has phrased the question to sound worse than it did, so that when Baldoni backtracks, he still admits what happened.
Yeah.
Gottlieb said, so do you recall Miss Lively saying that Mr. Heath was looking in her direction the entire conversation when she turned around?
No.
Gottlieb knows that that's not what she said, but he trapped Baldoni in this question because he knows Baldoni's going to deny it and offer the truth, which is better than what he's suggesting. And Baldoni does. I remember Miss Lively saying that when she turned around, she had noticed that Mr. Heath was looking in her direction. So that's an admission of what happened.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't get it from him before. It's very clever.
And he's a supervisor.
Okay, Gottlieb continues, and do you recall Miss Lively saying that made her uncomfortable? And Baldoni said no. Do you recall Miss Lively saying this in a way that she seemed happy about? And Baldoni said no. Gottlieb said, she seemed unhappy about it? And Baldoni says, I don't think it was she wasn't upset. She didn't seem upset. Gottlieb said, is it your testimony that you believe Miss Lively to be saying that she didn't care one way or the other that Mr. Heath was looking at her in the trailer that day? And Baldoni said, that's not what I said. Gottlieb said, I'm trying to understand what you recollect. And if you recollect that Miss Lively relayed this story because she was troubled, bothered, concerned, whatever word you would like to use about it, or if you're saying something different. And Baldoni says, well, you had asked me if I thought Miss Lively was upset, and that's why she was sharing the story. I can't, speculate to what Miss Lively was feeling. All I was saying was that she did not seem upset as she was sharing the story. I feel like this was something that she wanted to share to ensure it didn't happen again, but I can't speculate as to what she was feeling or not feeling. Gottlieb says, she didn't want it to happen again, you understood that? And Baldoni says, yes. Okay. Did anyone talk to HR about that incident, the incident in the trailer? And Baldoni says, to my knowledge, no. Gottlieb says, do you know one way or another whether Miss Lively started locking her trailer door after that event? And Baldoni says, I do not. Did Sony ever issue any kind of warning to you or to Mr. Heath as far as you know? Baldoni says, a warning? Gottlieb says, a warning. Baldoni says, no, not that I'm aware of. Gottlieb says, a caution? And Baldoni says, you're welcome to refresh my memory, but not that I can think of. Gottlieb said, that's fine. I'm just interested if you recall any time that they cautioned, warned, or otherwise issued anything that sounded like that to you. Baldoni says, I don't recall a caution or a warning. Gottlieb said, let's do Exhibit 31. Mr. Baldoni, you've been handed what's been marked as Exhibit 31. This is a text chain, I believe, between yourself, Mr. Heath, Miss Abel, and Stephanie Jones on November 10th, 2023.
I just want to say hi to Shannon because I haven't seen her in a while. She's in the house.
Shannon's in the house.
What's up, Shannon?
He's giving him a chance to read it. Do you recognize this document? Baldoni says, I do. You've seen this before? He says, I have. You've seen both the text and the attachment before? He said, yes. This text chain, Henny Grace is your alias, is that right? He says, was, yes. Gottlieb says,
It's the old Richard Bachman now.
Yeah. Was your alias, and you're communicating through that with Mr. Heath, Miss Abel, and Stephanie Jones, is that right? And he said, yes, that's just the name on the way that my phone is set up. That's not like I show up as Henny Grace to be anybody else. He's like, it's not a disguise. It's just a name. And the date is November 10th, 2023, and Baldoni says it appears so. And you're asking Miss Abel and Miss Jones for a Zoom, correct? A Zoom call, correct? He said yes. Why were you asking your publicist for a Zoom about the attached document? And Baldoni says, I wanted to share it with them. Gottlieb said, at 10:11 p.m., Mr. Heath sends through what appears to be a screenshot of a message from someone named Lindsay to Imani and Joseph. Did I pronounce the first name right? He said close enough. And they're working on the pronunciation, but it's just written, so it's not like phonetically. Imani and Joseph, have you seen this text before? And Baldoni says, I believe this is a text that was an email, so yes. Gottlieb says, so it's a text forwarding through a language from the email, is that right? He says, correct. And this was the cover email that was sent to the protections for return to production that are on the following pages. He says, I believe so, yes. And Lindsay Strasberg is an attorney who represented Miss Lively, is that correct? He said, I believe so, yes. And is this around the time that you first learned of the enclosed list of protections? And Baldoni says, I would imagine so. Do you see how at the top of this message, Miss Strasberg writes, in quotes, it is no surprise to the film's producer that the experience of shooting the film has been deeply concerning on many levels. Baldoni says, I see that, yes. Gottlieb says, and by that point in time, you were aware of and familiar with a number of concerns that had been expressed by multiple people on the set of It Ends With Us, is that correct? And Baldoni says, no, we were very surprised by that language. He just answered questions about Jamie Heath looking at her naked in a trailer.
I'm allergic to that answer.
Your insides erupted.
Yeah, it immediately caused an allergic reaction.
Baldoni says, no, we were very surprised by that language. Khalib says, okay, and you see the next sentence after that, and he's reading this quote from the attorney. The complaints of our client and others have been repeatedly conveyed and well documented throughout pre-production and photography. Do you see that? He says, I do see that. Is it your testimony that you were surprised by that language as well? And Baldoni says, I was surprised by all of this, yes. Gottlieb said the next sentence says, and this is a quote by the attorney, while we reserve all legal rights, at this stage, our client is willing to forego a more formal HR process in favor of everyone returning to work and finishing the film as long as the set is safe moving forward. Do you see that? He says, I do. Gottlieb says, you understand that the objective of this list was to allow the production of the film to continue as long as the set is safe moving forward. And he said, yes. He framed this as if she was trying to seize power the whole time. And here he is, just saying, you understood that the objective of this list was to allow the production to continue to move forward as long as the set was safe.
And he said yes.
And he said yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a question that was obviously beautifully phrased by Gottlieb, and, you know, he's forced to answer it anyway, but...
And then the next sentence, Gottlieb's reading this quote from the attorney. In order for our client to feel safe returning to the production, we are attaching a list of protections that will need to be guaranteed and observed by the film's producers. Do you see that? And he says yes. And you understand that reference to be a reference to the list to be the 17 points that are on the attached page? Baldoni says, after I read this, I learned that to be the case, yes. Okay. And you also understood, well, let me ask it this way, Gottlieb says, did you think at this point in time that legal action might be possible with respect to what Miss Lively was asserting here? And Baldoni says, I had no idea what Miss Lively was asserting here. Gottlieb said, did you read the 17 points? Baldoni said, I did. Do you recall reading them promptly when you received this? He said, I do. Do you recall reading them more than once? And Baldoni says, that I don't recall, but... Gottlieb says, do you see references in the 17-point list to an intimacy coordinator being present at all times? Do you see that? Do you see a reference in number 1? He said, yes. For an intimacy coordinator being present at all times, Baldoni says, yes. And you knew that Miss Lively had concerns about some of the intimate scenes in the movie, correct? And Baldoni says, it's an easy yes. A lot of these things are just things that are no issues. Gottlieb says, what do you mean by that? And Baldoni says, she wants an intimacy coordinator present at all times when she's on set. That's fine. Gottlieb says, it's a reasonable ask. And Baldoni says, sure. That's not what he was sending to his friends. Okay. Gottlieb says, that's not...
This is all what he's doing, right, Gottlieb?
Yeah. Gottlieb says, that's not something that was fabricated. And Baldoni says, what do you mean? Gottlieb says, that's not a demand based on some fabricated event. And Baldoni says, I don't know what the event is. There's no talking about an event here. It's just an ask for an intimacy coordinator present at all times. We already had an intimacy coordinator, so... Gottlieb says, do you see a reference to number 3 in quotes, there is to be no spontaneous improvising of any scenes involving physical touching, simulated sex, or nudity? He says, yes. Was that also a reasonable ask? And Baldoni says, I have no idea what that was about, and that is a reasonable ask. Gottlieb says, did you later come to learn what that was about? Baldoni says, I later learned that Miss Lively had said that there was improvising of a dance scene, but I had no understanding of that receiving this document. And that's not entirely true. She was making allegations that prior to the dance scene in that same day,
biting of the lip,
they were doing kissing, and he kept doing more and more takes and was like,
I think we need more tongue. I think we need a lot more tongue. In fact, do you want to let's do more tongue.
If you could just give me one of these.
You ever see that Kids movie? I want that.
What
you know
Kids
what I mean?
movie?
You remember Kids? The opening to Kids. The very first shot of Kids is this long, sloppy, tonguey necking.
Oh, I was thinking more in the first Beetlejuice movie when Gina Davis's character has to
Catherine O'Hara.
Has to morph her face, and she pulls it like
Yeah.
It's really great. That's why he was like, that's what I got in my mind. That's what's on my vision board for this scene.
I'm so glad Shannon's here. By the way, don't forget to like the live. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and you're maybe just lurking or whatever. And if you would, please go check out the Patreon. The link is there. Help support the show and help us grow. Thank you so much.
Okay. Gottlieb says, later you understood because you sent a video out to the public about that dance scene, right? And Baldoni says, I didn't personally send a video out. Gottlieb says, you had it sent out? And Baldoni says, I didn't have it sent out, but I agreed for it to go out, yes. Gottlieb says, and that video of that scene involved improvisation of intimacy, is that correct? And Baldoni says, I don't believe so. Gottlieb says, is it your testimony that everything that occurred during that scene was written into the script? And Baldoni says, no, it's my testimony that I wouldn't qualify that as intimacy. Gottlieb says, nothing in the video of the dance scene from the bar is something you would describe as intimacy?
You're kissing her face. Mm-hmm. You're smelling her neck and
nuzzling
the nape of her neck and the fucking...
Mm-hmm.
It's entirely intimate.
You put your thumb in her mouth.
You put your fucking thumb in her mouth, unscripted.
Okay, nothing in that video of the dance scene from the bar is something you would describe as intimacy. And Baldoni says, I'm not a representative of SAG, nor am I an intimacy coordinator, but I don't believe that intimacy coordinator would describe the actions in that video as an intimate scene.
I want to do a scene like it's in an SNL skit where people walk in and be like, hey, what's up, Bob? Hey, Tony. And you just walk away just stick your thumbs. It's good to see you, but good to see you too. Yeah. Can I get you a beer? You want a beer? Yeah. How about you? Oh yeah, I want a beer very much.
Got any of them IPAs?
Yeah. And then another guy walks in and they're two thumbing each other. Hey, buddies!
Because it's not intimate at all.
There's nothing intimate about sticking your thumb in somebody's face. No.
You see, there's nothing funny about that joke because
another guy walks in and he's just it's good to see you too, Ricky.
Nuzzles his neck.
Kisses his forehead. Good to see you, Ricky. Really good to see you.
See if that's weird at all to anybody. It's because those are intimate. Those are intimate behaviors. Good one. Okay. Question. Did it involve physical touching? Baldoni says dancing, so yes, the two characters were already touching in the scene. Did it involve kissing? And Baldoni says, to my understanding, there was no kissing in that scene.
No kissing.
Question. But there was kissing in the video, correct? Baldoni says, no.
Oh, really? What do you call smooshing your face against your lips against her fucking face? What do you call that? You ever heard the term kissing a hand?
I think
kissing a head.
He's answering these questions as if he doesn't understand that him literally smooching her forehead is not a kiss because he didn't kiss her lips.
Because she didn't reciprocate.
Because he didn't get a kiss on her lips, and so to him, there was no kissing.
He wanted it, though.
It's bonkers.
He was begging for it.
I know. It's bonkers, though. Like he's kissing her all over. It's really nuts.
Shannon joined the crew. She was already in the crew.
Yeah.
She joined the crew officially, but she was already in the crew. Thank you so much, Shannon.
Okay.
That's so awesome.
Gottlieb says, but there was no kissing in the video, correct? He said no. Gottlieb is asking, did you attempt to kiss Miss Lively? And Baldoni said no. And
what the fuck? This is why we know he's a liar.
I know.
This is why we know he's avoiding the truth. That is lying. And I think he's one of those guys, because he's all Baha'i faithy or whatever, but I think he's one of those people who thinks that by avoiding the truth, you're not lying.
Yeah, Gottlieb's confused too. Said, did you attempt to kiss Miss Lively? He said no. And Gottlieb's like, in the filming of that scene? And he says no. And Gottlieb says, okay.
Can we watch it?
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. Well, he's going to use that to impeach the witness to the jury because they're going to see with their own eyes what he was doing, and they're going to hear him lie about it under oath in his deposition.
Yeah.
And they're going to make a decision about whether this guy is truthful. So he's burying himself by not admitting what he's done. It's weird.
This is a really bad choice.
Yeah. Okay. Gottlieb says, so you see in number 6 it says, and he's reading... I guess this is the attorney still. No one will... Oh, no, this is a 17 points. Number 6. No one will enter, attempt to enter, interrupt, pressure, request to entrance to Blake Lively's trailer while she is in a state of undress for any reason. Baldoni says, I see that, yes. Gottlieb says, you understood what that referred to, did you not?
Yeah, we all went, shucks.
Aw.
Rats.
Dagnabbit.
Jamie, he's like, I'm going to get in there. You watch, I'm going to get in there. I'm the boss.
Does she have windows? Can we just look through those? Okay. Gottlieb says, you understood what that referred to, right? You understood what that referred to, did you not? And Baldoni said, I made an assumption at the time, but again, very surprising considering everything after that conversation was fine. He was like, she can't take backsies.
I can't believe this guy. I just can't believe he can like bull-faced answer these questions.
Why
this
is
way.
he not comprehending how things happen?
This is
and
not a good deposition for him.
unhappen?
They have to be terrified over in the Friedman camp. They got to be like, wow. And also, he just went on and on and on so many occasions.
That's why Brian Friedman never released pieces of the deposition for their smear campaign, because he fucking sucks at this.
He's got some fucking rabbit-sized poops in his pants.
Friedman?
Some serious fucking compacted. Pellets.
Okay. Question. You mentioned before a discussion about Miss Lively getting COVID, right? He said yes. You see a reference...
Oh my God. With a newborn. Oh my
I know.
God.
You see a reference to number 9, Miss Lively being exposed to COVID. He says yes. Question. So that one is not made up either, right? And Baldoni says, to my knowledge, Miss Lively had COVID-19. She said she did. Gottlieb said, do you see the paragraph 10 saying, in quotes, there shall be no retaliation of any kind against Blake Lively for raising concerns about the conduct described in this letter or for these requirements. Any changes in attitude, sarcasm, marginalization, or other negative behavior, either on set or otherwise, including during publicity and promotional work, as a result of these requests, is retaliatory and unacceptable and will be met with immediate action. Do you see that? He says, I do. Gottlieb says, and you ultimately agreed to that, did you not? And he says, I still do. Gottlieb said, and Wayfarer Studios agreed to that as well, right? And Baldoni says, I believe Wayfarer Studios is who agreed to this, yes.
Oh, so now he is Wayfarer?
Mm-hmm. Do you see the reference in paragraph 17 to the holding of a, and Gottlieb is quoting, all hands in-person meeting before the production resumes? And he said, yes. Do you see that that meeting was supposed to include, and he's reading this quote from the document, the director, all producers, the Sony representative, the newly engaged third-party producer, Blake Lively and Blake Lively's designated representatives, to confirm and approve a plan for the implementation of the above that will be adhered to for the physical and emotional safety of Blake Lively, her employees, and all the cast and crew moving forward? Baldoni says, I do. Did that meeting occur? And Baldoni says, I believe that meeting did occur. When did that meeting occur? Baldoni says the evening before day 1 of production. I don't have the exact date offhand. And Gottlieb offers January 4th, 2024.
Oh, when we were young.
Baldoni says that sounds correct. And where was that meeting held? Baldoni says Miss Lively and Mr. Reynolds' residence. Gottlieb says, and did all those people that you see...
Buckingham Palace, for anyone who's curious.
Yeah. And did all those people that you see listed here in paragraph 17 attend to the best of your knowledge? And Baldoni says they did, but I don't believe anyone knew that was the meeting that they were attending. Gottlieb said, Exhibit 32. Baldoni says, I may after the next round need to. And then Shapiro says, do you want to take a break? Go to the bathroom. Gottlieb says...
Stacy's here, by the way, and Stacy also joined the crew. Hi, Stacy. Thanks for joining the crew.
Welcome on board.
Welcome on board.
Okay, they're going off the record. Okay, they're back. Let me get a sit.
Angela takes us... Everybody's on a break. Cheers to you guys.
I had to go to the water fountain down the hall in the legal building,
When I was a kid, a little kid, this might have been why I had cold sores by the time I was 8. I used to fucking drink. I used to put my lips right on the...
Yeah, that's how that happens.
Just guzzled.
That's not smart.
I was, what they say that, why everybody got herpes when they were little babies? Is because of herpes-infested kissing aunties.
Ew.
Oh, little baby, baby. 2 days later.
That's gross. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, it was in me.
Okay.
I had to get out.
Gottlieb's back.
Oh, welcome back.
Mr. Baldoni, before the break, I had handed you Exhibit 32. I'm going to ask you about your message that appears on the first page. First full page of Exhibit 32. It's a text chain between yourself and a number of individuals on November 12th, 2023. Is that right? He said yes. So this is 2 days after he received the lawyer's letter and the 17 points in that document. Okay?
I have to agree with this, by the way. Stacy says that I don't particularly like listening at 1.5 speed because she got caught up with us. But I have to say, when I do, I'm just reminded of how amazing Angela is at reading depos. It really, I'm sitting here.
Up a lot
there are times where I'm just like really amazed. No, but you build bridges. Like I read every bloody word, and you edit on the fly.
Oh,
like,
I'm not trying to edit.
No, but you edit properly. You're like, well, they're exchanging this and that.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
I see what you're saying.
You're just great at it, and so I just love to see that you're appreciated because I also appreciate you because otherwise they wouldn't be getting this.
I can't wait to share with you guys the depositions from Stutman v. DiCaprio.
It's quit teasing because they're going to get mad.
Okay. Gottlieb's question. How would you describe, it looks like there's a title to this group. It says Prayers and Support. What is that? And Baldoni says, this is a group of...
It's a card game.
It should be. Baldoni says, this is a group of some of my best male friends. Question. And Mr. Heath is on there? He's a friend and also a coworker, right? And he says yes.
And a man.
And what about Mr. Musial? Baldoni says, my best friend and not technically a coworker, former partner. Former partner from Wayfair Entertainment? Baldoni says yes. But not with Wayfair Studios. And Baldoni says not in an official capacity. Okay. Anybody else in this chain that was with or an employee of Wayfair Studios? He says no. Okay. Gottlieb is asking, so then looking at your message, you have a message that carries over from, and he's orienting him, and that's a message that you sent to this group. It looks like 11:49 a.m. on November 12th, 2023. Is that right? He says yes. And this is a day or two after you receive the 17-point return to production. And Baldoni is stuttering. He says, I haven't seen this, so I would love to read it. Gottlieb says, okay, please do. I'm not going to ask you anything about it past your message. He said, okay, I've read it. Gottlieb says, you knew that the returns for the protections for the return to production document with the 17 conditions insinuated that you were unsafe/sexually harassing. And Baldoni says, I don't know what I knew at the time, but I clearly said that. I think I didn't know what she was actually insinuating, but I was clearly scared and filled with anxiety.
I mean, it was pretty fucking obvious.
Gottlieb says, okay, but the words you used were, and he's quoting him in his prayer group message, I am unsafe/sexually harassing, etc., etc., etc. Right?
Me.
And
Jesus.
Baldoni says, we all know what this document insinuates. Gottlieb says, do you recall earlier in your testimony, I was asking you questions about whether you have ever understood that it was insinuated that you had sexually harassed anyone? And Baldoni says, I do remember part of that part of the conversation. Gottlieb says, and you answered that question with a no, right? So clever. Baldoni says, not sure what I answered. Gottlieb says, okay, here you are saying, and he's reading, we all know what this document insinuates. Baldoni says, I see that. And you say, and Gottlieb is reading.
He's just this guy. He is just fucking, he ties his ankles with his own shoelaces, bro.
He ties his shoelaces together?
Yeah.
Gottlieb said, and you say, and he's reading a quote from Baldoni, this is all a manipulation. And Baldoni says, I see that I said that too. You say, Gottlieb is reading, there's even silly things inferring Jamie was inappropriate, which is silly. And Baldoni says, I read that, yes. Gottlieb saying, is the reference to Mr. Heath that's in the 17-point list a reference to entering trailers? And Baldoni says, I have no idea what I was referring to here.
Yes, you do.
You know,
yes,
nobody's going to buy that, dude.
You know what he said more than once, Gottlieb, during this deposition?
What?
You have a very good memory. You remember that very well. You remember that very well, sir.
That's true.
He does that like multiple times.
Gottlieb said, okay, but what you knew was you thought that there was something inferring that Mr. Heath had been appropriate, which you thought was silly? And Baldoni says, I don't know what I was saying was silly. That's what I can tell you. Gottlieb continues reading. He says, you said, and he's reading, this letter was sent in an effort to gain power over you personally and the studio. And Baldoni says, I think that's what I believed. Gottlieb says, that's what you believed at the time? And Baldoni says very clearly, yes. Gottlieb says, yet you thought all or nearly all of the requests or the conditions in the letter were reasonable, right? And Baldoni says, I did. And Gottlieb says, so what kind of plan is that? And Baldoni says, I'm sorry, there's an objection, I guess, to the form of his question. So Gottlieb continues. If you're trying to come up with a plan to assert power and domination over somebody, why would you send them a list of 17 very reasonable things to do?
Yeah.
And Baldoni says, I can't speculate as to why someone would do that.
Oh, really? I think you can.
Just for everybody's reference.
I don't even think you have to speculate.
I think this is huge. So this is page 260
Yeah.
of Gottlieb's Day of the Depositions. I just feel like he's just digging himself.
We should finish up, I guess, and get to chat.
Okay. Gottlieb says, if you're trying to come up with a plan to assert power and domination over somebody, why would you send them a list of 17 very reasonable things to do? And Baldoni says, I can't speculate as to why someone would do that. Gottlieb says, in the list of 17 conditions, or the text that was accompanying it that was screenshot in the document we just looked at, was there any demand to send Miss Lively the unfinished director's cut of the movie? And Baldoni says, in what we read together? He answers no. Was there any demand that Miss Lively be allowed to take control of the edit of the film? And Baldoni's like, in the 17-point list? And Gottlieb says, in the 17-point list. And Baldoni says, no. Was there any demand about ultimate control over the content of the film? And Baldoni says, I believe there was in the 17-point list. And Gottlieb said, and what is your recollection of that? Baldoni says, I believe there was a paragraph that where she asked for ultimate control over some of the content of the film, just like what you said. However, Gottlieb says, what content was that? And Baldoni says, I believe any intimate scene depicting her character.
You fucking idiot.
Which is reasonable.
Well, it's not just reasonable. That's what intimacy coordinators are for. Because when you have an IC on board, you say to them, hey, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, right.
And then the IC is like, gotcha. And they're like, yeah, she's not going to do that, buddy. That was good. It was close. You almost...
Gottlieb says, over intimate scenes, correct? He said, yes, but... And then he continues, I consider that content. Gottlieb says, you said to your friend group, in quotes, he's reading, we don't believe she will leave or leak to press, but this is her threat of a nuclear bomb, as she knows this is the only way to get to me. Do you see that? Baldoni says, I do. What do you mean, this is the only way to get to me? Baldoni says, I'm not sure what I meant.
Oh, you fucking liar. You are a fucking liar. You know exactly what you meant there. You are so full of shit. You are such a fucking scapegoat and lying fucking nothing, bro. You know what? I'm glad you got a mansion because at least you have something. You have no integrity. You're a fucking liar. You're a bold-faced, stinking fucking bullshitter.
All right, listen.
That's what he is.
Do you believe that as you sit here today that the 17-point list was a nuclear bomb and the only way to get to you? And Baldoni says, again, I don't know what I meant. This was a text sent in a very confusing, dark period where I had no idea what was happening and I was filled with anxiety.
I was drinking updates like I was pounding them.
I was
just fucking pounding updates until I was like, I can't do this anymore.
He's like, I don't like her updates.
Bro,
I love these updates.
I went through a fucking case of updates in like a half a day. I was like, why did I invest in this?
This is why it's such a very confusing, dark period where he has no idea what's happening and he's filled with anxiety.
I can't wait to see the deposition where he's got the where he's like, where's the camera? Okay.
Yeah. You know what's so weird about him saying that he has no idea what's happening? He has an entire team that is employed specifically to tell him what is going on. Like, what do you mean you don't know what's happening? You don't know what's happening because you're having like he has like, I don't know if they call this like, I don't really jump on the bandwagon of calling this guy a narcissist because I feel like that has to be something that's like assessed, properly and diagnosed.
Yeah.
But people do say that there's like narcissistic injury where they literally cannot compute that maybe they're like did something wrong or bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's why he says he has no idea what was happening.
We're, I talked about getting a Golden Globe, and I think we're going to get the Golden Globe because of your reading of the deposition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where. I think they when they play the clip at the Globes, it's going to be you like reading perfectly.
They're going to be so upset that when we both go up to the stage and I just let you do all the talking because I'll be like this, like.
I'll be like holding you
my
off.
My head will be like sinking into my shirt.
I'll be like, stay. I'll just be all misogynistic the whole time.
Just throw him for a loop, Yeah. You got to keep him guessing.
Keep him guessing.
Okay, question. Did you consider the 17-point list and the letter attached to it to be something that was pretty sensitive? And Baldoni says, I'm not sure I know what you mean. Gottlieb says, was it the kind of document that at the time you would have wanted to get out in public? And Baldoni says, I can't imagine I would want that. Gottlieb says, you would have wanted it to be confidential, right? And he said, yes. He's teeing him up to fail.
It's just so crazy how he just puts the ball right on the tee.
I know where he's going.
Sets it perfect. You know how you do that?
I don't know why Baldoni doesn't know where he's going.
You see, golfers do that. They say they're fucking. They say, and then they go and they line up. They go, no, it needs a little adjustment. And they go and they just adjust that. He's gonna whack that ball.
You would have wanted it to be confidential, right? Baldoni says yes.
But duh.
Gottlieb said, it involved a series of conditions relating to It Ends With Us and the production of It Ends With Us that involved rather sensitive matters, right? And Baldoni says, it was a legal document that came to our attorneys, so yes. Gottlieb says, and it had involved issues relating to personnel and employment with respect to the film, right? And Baldoni says yes. Gottlieb says, so why did you feel like it was appropriate to send details about that to a friend group that included lots of people that did not work at Wayfair Studios?
Huh?
And Baldoni says, I don't believe I sent the document itself or any attachments. Gottlieb says, you just described it? And Baldoni says, I wasn't aware that there was anything in that document saying that I couldn't describe it.
We just established that you should keep some fucking things close to the chest when you're doing business with a bunch of people and there's trouble afoot.
But that's not it, though. I mean, they sent it to his publicist, who sent it to Jed Wallace.
Yeah, I don't know. Travel people.
We have those.
Yeah. It's
Gottlieb says, before, when I was asking you about the incident in Miss Lively's trailer involving Mr. Heath, did you ever take any steps to confirm or learn what had actually happened in that meeting? And Baldoni says, my understanding is that anything that happened during that meeting interaction was discussed in person and worked out, and my recollection is Mr. Heath apologized to her for even looking in her direction. And
it's so great how they apologize. They are so good. What I love about their apologies is how quick they are. Mm-hmm. They're like instant. They're like, oh, did I fuck up? Yep. Let me say sorry. You know what? I'm going to sit over here. Solved. I'm going to bake on that for a minute. I'm going to come back. I'm going to apologize twice for the same fucking thing.
Right, a message later.
I'm so good at apologizing.
Saying everything's we're going to put things into motion and make sure this doesn't happen
here
again.
The Wayfair
and then later
policy,
on, they're like, yeah, sorry, we did it again.
Says anybody ever sexually harassed here at Wayfair Studios will receive an immediate apology.
That's what the law's for, right?
That is what we'll do immediately to remedy any problems where people are being sexually harassed. The first and most important remedy, of course, is an apology.
You read that wonderfully. Baldoni says, my understanding is that anything that happened during that meeting interaction was discussed in person and worked out, and my recollection is Mr. Heath apologized to her for even looking in her direction, and that's what...
For even looking in her direction. The whole point was to not look in her fucking direction. He's trying to minimize the very thing he was not supposed to do.
You exploded
for even murdering him in the basement.
Alan interrupted at the same point.
Well, it's just so fucking. I want to fucking choke him by the fucking, RNC a dude. He's very muscular.
Baldoni continues. That's what he was apologizing for, and it never happened again.
Well,
Gottlieb said, "Did you ever take any steps to decide for yourself what you thought had happened?" And Baldoni says, "I'm not sure what further steps I could have taken." Even though it's literally written in black and white.
It says in black and white that you're supposed to file an HR complaint.
I'm not sure what further steps I could have taken, as Miss Lively herself spoke to Jamie, and they were the two people involved. Not the company. Not the company has to get involved. Not the HR that's sole reason for existing is to protect the company from anything like this blowing up into maybe, I don't know, civil litigation.
It is so crazy to me because he could have had this thing all wrapped up if they just followed a reasonable protocol. He would have been able to take every complaint and go, listen, while this doesn't meet the standard, while this doesn't meet the standard, while this doesn't meet the standard over and over and over again, and then in those things put his remedies to the problems declared by the employee. I mean, it would have been just buttoned up and easy.
This is a good question. You later came to learn that Mr. Heath had a different view of what happened in the trailer with Miss Lively, right? And Baldoni says slightly different at the time. So Gottlieb asks, and so did you take any steps to try to ascertain whose version of events was correct or accurate? And Baldoni says no. Because at the time...
I was having an update.
Because at the time the stories seemed pretty similar, and there was no reason to. It was worked out. Gottlieb says, eventually, you believed Mr. Heath's version of what happened in the trailer? And Baldoni says, again, at the time, which was 2023, the versions were very close. They seem to be very different now. Gottlieb said, earlier we talked a little bit about the January 4th meeting. We should stop there because that's going to be juicy.
Yeah, we'll get into the January 4th meeting tomorrow. But before we go, we're going to talk with you guys in the chat. If you guys will still hang out with us. Thank you for joining the crew, you guys. I gotta reach out to you guys and figure out how I can do the shout outs for those who join the crew. But yeah, we've got a lot of fucking great content planned for that. So I hope you'll come along for that ride. Let's get into the chat.
A scientist is writing a scene.
Oh, cool.
Says, gropes Miss Lively's breast. And Baldoni says, I think it's important to note that he specifically requested groping breasts in his female gaze movie.
Exactly. Yeah, that was his word. He used the word grope in his attempt to be the female gaze. And this other thing is like one of the things that I think is important as an artist is to know your shortcomings when you're not doing it, especially when you're in a collaborative form like film.
Yeah.
Like if I can't get something done, like for example, I was just thinking about like a joke that I'm not qualified to write. And the joke I wanted to do was the same, like, the joke about, him answering questions with, drinking an update and talking about how he feels in his designer shoes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I don't know like designer shoes or how to so in a writer's room situation, I would hand that off, and get, and the point is like understanding your limitations and then being able to, still be able to whatever, direct, fulfill, produce, whatever, the content that you're desiring, even if you're falling short on it.
Yeah, even people who are writing solo, they learn how to collaborate about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they'll often I've done it myself, is where you just write placeholder stuff where you're just like, fuck, you got to investigate, whatever it might be.
Deanne said that Baldoni has weaponized incompetence.
Yeah, I suppose. He's scapegoating it like crazy.
Stacy said Baldoni's hole he has dug is becoming a crater. This is fascinating.
It is. I agree. I think we're, obviously a lot of people have fallen off when we started reading Justin Baldoni. We had like 700-800 visitors or whatever it was. And now we're, down to the crew, which I love.
Manderley's making fun of him. I was so upsetty spaghetti that I just gave up paying attention to my job.
Yeah, exactly.
Upsetty spaghetti.
Upsetty spaghetti is hilarious. I'm going to use that forever. It's probably going to go in my dialogue somewhere. Just telling you now. It's what we do.
Oh, man.
We are thieves in the night.
Manderley also said, sounds very relatable to a jury, bro.
It's not good.
Hanada said that this also comes to mind a lot for me, too, that Baldoni, in the notes to his with his intimacy coordinator that he shared, so he said that he wanted to grope and cover Blake Lively's boobs with his hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Meaning she'd be breast naked and he would touch them.
And he'd be having the fucking...
Every time that the camera rolled, it was his job to cover her breasts with his hands.
I do believe entirely
unbelievable
that he intended to, as best as he could, objectify her, even if it wasn't his like forethought, like where he wasn't like using the term or feeling, but in his head he was like, yeah, I mean, this is necessary.
Hanada says it's the law that forbids him to disclose details of SH at work with his friends.
Yeah. I think you're right about that.
Said an apology and a direction for the accused to immediately hire a crisis PR firm. It was in really, really, really tiny print.
Yeah, right. An apology, and we will immediately hire a crisis PR firm and slander you if you even attempt to.
This is flattering. SC said, Angela makes me feel like I'm in the room with these boneheads. A stark contrast from these other YouTubers out there. 5 minutes in and I'm out.
Yeah, you're so awesome.
Well, I'm really glad that
I really think you should get the Golden Globe.
I don't know about those other accounts because I'm kind of busy doing this. I just think it's really great that people are trying to. People are trying to read these and get them read for people who don't have the time or can't manage reading them themselves.
Well, we're just overwhelmingly grateful because you make it entertaining, but also without embellishing or, you like...
Oh, I embellish a ton, though.
Not really.
I mean, like, I don't embellish what I'm reading, but I feel like...
You're subtle in the way that you
I feel like I interrupt myself too much, and I hope it's not confusing about whether he's talking or I'm mouthing off.
We love the work you do.
Manderley said, surprisingly, in Heath's version, he did nothing wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck.
He's the most honest guy I know, too, so she must be wrong.
It's like it's so petty, but I hate his smile so much. Jamie Heath's
smile?
Yeah, when he smiles, I don't know why, but I think about chomping carrots.
Well, his smile makes him look a little bit like a TikTok filter of like
That's what
a
it
creepy
is.
guy.
Yes.
He just looks a bit distorted.
It's body shaming, but yeah.
I know. It's unfortunate. It's not his fault, obviously.
No.
But I don't know.
It just bothers me though, because I hate when I like have those feelings where I'm like, I don't like the way somebody looks, which is like, it's kind of terrible. Like Donald Trump, I can't stand the way that man looks, and it shouldn't be a license to body shame him.
He hates how he looks too. That's why he covers himself in makeup.
Well, there's a good point.
He can't stand himself either.
But it's especially bad. Like I feel especially bad when you know you're wrong. Like I know I'm not wrong. So like Donald Trump is like a repulsive, repugnant human being. And, but there are people out there who, like I had a teacher, her name was Mrs. Karlowski. She was wonderful, but she looked like, she didn't look good. And I was like a douche. I was a, fucking rebelling douche, and I basically like mistreated her behind her back,
Yeah, they call that pretty privilege.
And then when she died,
get treated differently if you don't look attractive to people.
And then when she died, she died like in summer break between years.
Really?
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah, dude. And I felt so bad because I like badmouthed this woman and I was like, oh shit.
You were an ass to your teachers?
And then in retrospect, yeah.
Like in class?
At times.
I didn't know this about you. I always hated those kids. I always thought it was really fucking low to take up class time to act like a jackass and like try and
I didn't do it on the regular, but
teacher,
it happened.
Huh?
I didn't do it like, it wasn't like, today
sure
we shall like,
didn't.
fuck. No, it was like I just woke up and, I just had like, a bad day here and there, whatever.
Yeah, school sucks, man. Anybody who is ever talking about like homeschooling their kids, I'm like, obviously, people can do it really badly, but I fucking get it.
A scientist said that the funny thing, a part about the joke is that he did indeed miss the SH meeting because it was his assistant who did it for him. I wonder where you got that from. I would like to see that evidence. I believe you. I leave you alone with my children. I don't have any children.
Deanne is referencing when Baldoni, in his own memoir, he admits to being a dick to his black friend who was upset. They went to a wedding and in the South.
Yeah, the cotton.
And the bride and groom had decided to hand how they do like rice throwing? Well, they had decided to hand everybody cotton to throw.
Yeah.
And this black friend of theirs was like, I have issues with this.
That's horrifying.
And Baldoni admits that he was a real dick, and even Emily Baldoni was a dick about it, and that they were really minimizing this person's concerns instead of recognizing that maybe those concerns may have been valid. However misplaced they could possibly be, they still didn't recognize.
They weren't misplaced.
No, I'm saying like you have to recognize that somebody brings these biases that are well formed.
Yeah.
Right? And whether they're applying them poorly in the situation is kind of not even an issue. Like, that's irrelevant. You have to acknowledge that this person feels this way because of very valid reasons.
For sure.
Regardless of whether they're misinterpreting the situation.
Totally.
So he admits in his...
But it wasn't them misinterpreting, right? Like, that's the point I keep trying to make.
I'm saying if they were misinterpreting... I'm saying it's irrelevant.
Right. I'm just saying, like... Even if their intent was not, racist, which it probably wasn't, I would say most certainly wasn't, then it was still, the discomfort is warranted. It's valid. It's not,
right.
There's no, anyway.
Baldoni's saying in his memoir that for an entire, I think he said it was a year, he changed his opinion about her because he thought that she was just, a pain or difficult or something. She was hurt for no reason, and he resented her for that.
Yeah.
And he even got Emily Baldoni on board with it, too. So, like, she got ganged up on with these friends that she just attended a wedding with, and now all of a sudden they don't like her because she spoke up. This black friend. And then he said after a year or so, he finally learned something from someone else and then reached out to her to apologize.
He probably said cotton picking or something. This cotton picking bench
and he
or
was
something.
Like, wait a minute.
And then somebody went, Justin. And he was like, what? Oh, this again? Get over it.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, like, I understand if you're writing a memoir about personal growth so that maybe it helps other people see. I just feel like it's just such a bonkers example.
Yeah.
Because he's telling the story very truthfully that he was like a total jerk to this lady for speaking up about something that upset her. And just that is enough of the story. You're like, why would you ever do that? You know? Weird, man. This
Insane.
guy's weird. You guys are being very complimentary in the chat. Thank you. I appreciate you.
You really do kick ass, though. It's so funny because like we get
so that you'll get started.
We've been getting like recommended on Reddit a few times, and they're always like Dale Wheatley, go see Dale Wheatley, and it's not me. Like that, especially like we've been getting recommended specifically for the reading of the depositions. They're like, you got to see Dale Wheatley's live, and
I'm fine with that.
I don't read a damn thing.
I would prefer nobody know my name ever, if that's okay. I'm not looking for anyone to know me. I would prefer.
Sounds like a 12th house Leo to
not
me.
be perceived.
Should be like, take my fame.
Splishna said, Blake and her team creating this document and having it signed and the meeting was such a smart move. This will be huge for her case.
It just shows exactly how they fucked up by not creating their own paper trail.
Yeah.
Like by them not filing these complaints.
If it wasn't a big deal, he
and
could
resolving
have
these complaints.
that.
Yeah.
He could have had her sign saying, hey, so is all this resolved?
With internal dialogue that she doesn't even see, where it's like,
Right.
Blake Lively is becoming a pain in the ass. She is over, this and overreacting that and blah, 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 and blah, 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 or whatever. Like, I mean, obviously it wouldn't necessarily be so
But if he
blatant,
says that he apologized and everything was resolved, he could have gotten that in writing, and then she would have a much harder time making a case. You know what I mean? Like if he had actually had gone through the whole process, they didn't done an investigation, she was satisfied with the result, he could have gotten that documented. The junk farm said, you cannot claim the fifth if you give her the signal chat admitting to the crime.
I plead the fifth. Okay, allow me to play this for you. It was
I know.
a confession.
He says he doesn't know what he was referring to in the conversation with his friends.
He's a liar. He's a liar. That is a bull-faced lie. What could you have meant? And of course, it calls for speculation and they wouldn't get it in, but...
A scientist said, and the wild thing is he thinks he got away with it and won't realize otherwise until he is being questioned on the stand.
Yeah, it's going to come at him hard, man.
So this is another thing I was thinking. He confesses so often to feeling like he's in a really, really bad, dark place.
Yeah.
What is it going to be like when he has to be in court and tell his story and all eyes are on him?
He's going to be medicated, I guess.
He's being accused.
Now he's on medication.
And the attorneys are being mean to him.
He can't even do the Russell Brand rebrand, because he's already Baha'i.
No, I'm not talking about after, but I'm just
I know.
talking
It
about
just occurred to
his
me.
mental state.
I understand.
The day he has to appear in court.
He claims to be medicated, and that, I think, is what he's going to rely on.
He's going to go in there like quaking.
His daily medication. He's really trying to get the pill in his mouth.
Everybody's so funny in the chat. A scientist said it's really rather impressive the blatant lying he tries to get away with in this deposition.
It's mind-blowing.
The junk farm's like, why are you guys making it weird? He asked to get close. How does he think rubbing her needs less consent than close?
Yeah, I mean, he's. Are we talking about the dancing?
I think it's the dancing. Yeah.
He didn't just rub her. He fucking he put them lips up all over her face. He was into the nape of her neck. She's blocking him out and trying to stop him from doing it and convince him otherwise, telling him how his advances should not be met with reciprocation because it breaks the tension. Don't let him have it. Don't let him make them want it or whatever it was.
I'm sorry. A scientist said, was the excessive takes of kissing the same incident where he physically intimidated Sachs for calling out the excessive takes he was doing? No, that's not.
Oh, I don't think so, no.
He was asking Alex Sachs whether he had gotten enough footage, and it was specifically in the Bibbs bar scene. Bibbs is the name of the place in the book. In the movie, it's called The Root. It's the restaurant that's Atlas's restaurant. So it was a scene involving...
Atlas, by the way, is the guy that Ryle... do it in sign
punches.
language.
Yeah, I know.
No,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be
bangs it out of her.
You're not gonna do a good job of referencing.
You know what I'm saying? He takes care of Atlas in a sexual way. You know what I'm saying?
Don't bother.
Okay.
So that was, yeah, he slammed the chair down when he asked Alex Sachs, did I get enough? Like, do I have to keep going?
He hit the back of the chair.
And she said, no, you're good, which seems like the better answer. And he somehow got pissed about that. And he yelled her name and slammed the chair.
Well, remember that we also have learned that he had a bad first AD and they weren't getting their days. So he might have felt like that. You know, that sounds rather innocuous, but the reality is that it might have been that she was sitting there going, you got to make your fucking day, bro. Like, you're not going to keep pissing around the scene.
I just don't understand
why. Like, when I couldn't get my retake on my scene
Uh-huh.
in Don's Plum, it was devastating to me. It was absolutely devastating to me.
I know, but I think that it's weird. It says a lot about him that he approaches a woman who's working for him on the set.
Yeah.
She's a producer. She's way more experienced than him.
Yeah.
He asks her a yes or no question.
Right.
But he is not prepared for either of those answers.
Right.
Or whatever answer, he's not prepared for the negative of what he's hoping. And I just feel like that says a whole lot about somebody, just character-wise, like maturity-wise. You don't ask a question unless you're prepared for any answer, right?
Yeah.
So when he says, do you think we got it? And she said no. He got really pissed at the answer, but it's like, brother, you asked. Like, take what you got. Like,
correct.
Don't ask if you don't want to hear the answer,
Yeah.
Feldbaumling said, I don't doubt during the dance scene that Baldoni was trying to hug her tight enough for contact below the waist either. Hate to say it, but he seemed really intent on kissing her.
He was molesting her. Come on. He was trying to get up. He worked his thumb into that mouth,
That's really fucking weird.
And it is weird. And it's like, yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean, I honestly believe that this dude had been objectifying her from the moment that he knew she was going to take the role. When he found out it was a yes, but even before that, when he knew that, when he met with her at her apartment and knew that there was a real chance she was going to play the role, I think he immediately began to fantasize, and by virtue of that, objectify her.
Gross.
Yeah.
Splishna said, how the fuck could you read this, the 17 points and the lawyer's letter, and not know what she was asserting?
Come on. That's why he's a liar.
Our scientist quoted, our client reserves all rights, right? Including suing your ass if you keep it up.
Which is what happened.
And then Baldoni goes, I had no idea what she was thinking. Like, are you dim?
And at that point, the preservation of the record should have began immediately.
Yes, right.
It should have happened before that, but at that point, it's when she's sitting there saying, I am reserving my legal remedies, that is an immediate notice of potential legal action.
Yeah. Hinata said that Sony even involved its own lawyers when discussing with Heath Blake Lively complaints of on-set behavior. Now Baldoni denies a warning from Sony. There's a paper trail.
Yeah, there would be. Sony's not going to fucking... I mean, it's Sony. They know what they've got. They've been through it, to say the least.
A scientist said that when he sent the 17-point document to his PR...
Yeah.
And then she sent it to... Melissa Nathan sent it to Jed Wallace.
Yeah.
Which is so bad.
Yeah.
A scientist said, benefit of the doubt, maybe he made a mistake in sending it to his PR instead of HR.
Oh, that's what it was.
Autocorrect strikes again.
Got us wrong. Damn. Because that H and P they're so close.
Yeah. See, you guys are bringing jokes.
Bringing it.
Let's see. Splishness is responding to Feldbaumling. Oh, Feldbaumling said, behind the scenes, Friedman and co will tell Justin he did great. And they can't wait for the trial. They're going to milk this billionaire for all he's worth.
Exactly. And I mean, look, he also did himself a disservice, and somebody mentioned this in the chat. I think Angela will come across it, but he did himself a disservice of, setting himself up with a bunch of yes men.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of people who are going to,
Splishna said, exactly. He's got other bros just like him who validate his BS.
Yeah.
He could have continued growing and instead surrounds himself with yes men.
Yeah, Angela, you've said it time and again about these prayer groups. It's at no point does anybody push back. At no point does anybody ask, why is she saying these things? Tell us specifically what is happening. And instead, they're all just like, yeah, we're praying for you. And, basically supporting him without any, knowledge whatsoever. Like, for all they know, he could be Ted fucking Bundy.
Mm. For all we know, anybody could be Ted Bundy.
Are you Ted Bundy? You're not Ted Bundy.
That's what's really creepy about reading about Ted Bundy.
You're on a hiatus if you are.
If I'm Ted Bundy?
Yeah, you're on
I'm
a
not
hiatus.
Ted Bundy. No. I do have snaggly teeth though, so we have that in common. But the
But you don't bite humans.
the creepy thing about Ted Bundy is that he had a lot of friends and associates. He was really social and really active in like politics, and he was volunteering for this organization that was really helping people, and like he had all of this wonderful contacts, and nobody ever knew that he was a murderer.
Murder.
Yeah. So creepy. Anybody could be Ted Bundy, I guess.
John Farm said, Dale's old lady reads real good.
Right, because I'm saying nobody should know my name. So you guys can just call me Dale's Ball and Chain
Dale's
if you
old lady.
want.
I like the old lady one. That's like,
Dale's better half.
yeah. Have you ever seen Junk Farm?
Yeah.
He's a dope
He's
dude.
great.
He's a dope dude. He's like, we're of the same age group. AARP in the house.
When Justin Baldoni was being asked about the onesie scene,
Yeah.
and the discussion that happened, and then he like sarcastically was like, I guess I missed the HR meeting, or no, the sexual harassment training.
Yeah.
Manderley is pointing out he just flat out lied about the order of what happened during the incident. It's on camera, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, exactly.
He did. He said that he stepped away for a minute and came back, but we saw everything was.
It's so interesting because he say he saw the video in January,
Yeah.
and then I guess that's 9 months from his deposition, so maybe that was it.
Manderley says the something in your teeth comment happened right after he made the sexy comment. Like we all saw.
Yeah, it was right there. I remember that exactly.
So he's tripping. I think that it's going to be really easy for Blake Lively's attorneys to impeach the witness. I think that he's going to be shown to be completely not credible, and it's not going to help him out at all. So have we gotten closer to understanding what Justin Baldoni's defense is?
Have we gotten closer to understanding
that he doesn't understand anything? That he's just going to play dumb through the whole thing?
Yeah, well, that's not an excuse. That's going to be to his detriment. Because then they only have their side. Then they only have one side. If you sit there saying, I don't know, and then the side that's making the claim is the side making the accusation, he's in trouble.
A scientist said sarcastically apologizing for missing the SH training and rolling your eyes isn't exactly the most sincere apology.
No, this is the point, is that he's making this testimony, and then we see the evidence, and we see the evidence. We see him talking about Hailey Bieber and what they need. We see the evidence of him declaring war and wanting war, and that he's discussed it with his wife, and that they together declared war against Blake Lively. Like, these are all the things. This is the word he's using. The other thing that I wonder if it's going to make it in, it's certainly going to make it into our trial coverage, is that motherfucker was walking down the red carpet, lying through his teeth about Blake Lively. And if you go to Blake Lively or you go to Jenny Slate or whatever, they're not fucking lying about him. They don't talk about him. They avoid the conversation. They change it. They beat around the bush. They do whatever. But they don't sit there and tell a bunch of lies. They don't sit around and go like, Justin Baldoni is an amazing mind. Like, they don't do this shit.
I don't think he was lying. I think that he was telling the truth when he said she really helped. She really assisted. She made this movie better. I think he was telling the truth on the red carpet.
But that doesn't make any sense, Angela, because
the thing is, I think that he is of a divided mind in how he can believe those things to be true, because they are. And he also feels like she is doing a power game with him, some sort of power struggle that he's locked in with her, that he's made up in his own mind in his paranoid delusions about how she's going to try and take him down and ruin his life.
I think I'm going to be able to supercut a pretty obvious guy lying when he's, on the one hand, praising her. It's praise. Yeah. It's praise. It's not like he's saying like, oh, she's going to be... He's praising her to the world, while underhandedly he is destroying her reputation in the public.
I know. And
to me, that's like, that is, for me, the definition of evil. That is the definition of evil. They portray themselves saintly, while behind the scenes they are murderous.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing: is he'll never understand that because he's never a bad person.
It's not about him. He
can't be a bad person.
It's just the reality that he's going to be faced with when he gets a judgment.
He's just like, so the more that we learn about Justin Baldoni, the more that it's very clear that he struggles with very disordered thinking. Like, he has a very dysfunctional way of thinking about any conflict, any criticism, anything.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he assumed why he's telling his friends that she's trying to take power. She's going to go, it was a nuclear bomb. Like, he can't even admit it in his deposition.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether he's lying to his friends or lying to the attorney in the depot.
Yeah.
I don't know which one it is.
He doesn't.
You don't think he knows?
No, I think he's one of those. I think he's one of these liars who blurs the the facts in his own brain. Like, these people who convince themselves of things. Like today, just before the live, dealing with this fucking person trying to tell me that there was no SH, and it's all over the fucking complaint. And I mean, it's all over the depositions. He doesn't want to call it what it is, but it is what it is, and we know that he got trapped in it because he himself used the words sexual harassment. On the out of one breath of his mouth, he said, I wouldn't categorize it as sexual harassment. I wouldn't call it that. And then in his next fucking breath, and then they catch him where he's literally using those words. Yeah. So,
I like how you said that. You said, he wouldn't call it what it is when it is what it is. I think is what you said.
I think something like that, yeah.
It was really fun.
Yeah, I'm a simple man. 2-letter words are my favorite.
Hanada says, apologies don't meet legal standards.
No. No.
There's typos here. Apologies that are followed by jokes or dismissive behavior, even less.
Correct. Exactly. That's perfectly pointed as a verb point.
Said it's like Justin has done the tiniest bit of self-examination, and that means that he has free reign to say and do what he wants.
Yeah, he's
like, it's impulsive speech, guys.
Yeah.
So I should just be allowed to say it.
In search of a diagnosis. That's what that sounds like to me.
Hanada said, if he can't control his impulsive speech, he must be removed from set, period. But he
shouldn't be in the job.
But he was on the set, so now they're liable.
Yeah. He shouldn't be on the job. He shouldn't be taking the job of director if he has that kind of a problem. If he can't keep his fucking mouth shut. It's so funny because on the one hand, he's defining, the director's job as being in part to make actors feel good and to make sure they're comfortable and to make sure that they're in a place where they can be creative and at their best. Mm-hmm. So he knows the job description in that regard, which isn't always entirely true in the way that he describes it, but I subscribe mostly to what he said there. And then on the other hand, he'll tell you that, he didn't know.
I was thinking about how he says that he's an investor in this drink brand that, like, you could buy anywhere.
Dude, you should see M. Serratas here. Uh-huh. You should see, they responded to somebody in our comments, on one of our comments. It was like a straight up mic drop response.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about? Because I think I commented on it because I was just like, it was just brought receipts and just drop kicked.
Dude, it's easy now.
Yeah.
Everything's been laid out for us. I don't understand how anybody's confused anymore.
No, I know.
It's just...
We should probably go.
Yeah.
You guys are so wonderful. 2.5 hours hanging out with us. I can't even believe you do that. That's amazing. We obviously have a really good time, so we'll be back again tomorrow. Thank you, Shannon, and anybody else who made their way to the Patreon to help us continue these things. We do appreciate you so much. We will see you again tomorrow at 6 o'clock with more of this. I just think the never-ending fucking deposition. Maybe we'll finish it tomorrow.
Not likely.
We're going to keep going.
We're gonna keep
no
going.
cosmic urgency. He's left us. He just looks at the thumbnail and he's like, I'm out. Fuck you guys.
I'm going to find out how much is left. I'll tell you guys tomorrow.
All right, you guys. You have a beautiful, beautiful night. And we will see you again tomorrow.